I'm just saying that what it will be interesting to watch in the next sort of couple of years. What happens to these big events that used to bring the world together?
Yeah.
All I can tell you that Formula One is still going on.
Yeah.
There was Monaco the other day.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I tend to think the world is more positive about us than we are positive about
Yes.
ourselves.
But beyond that, there is this advent of great South Africans that are just emerging wherever you look. You have got corporates who are in other parts of the world and they're in South Africa. So they're always bringing people here. They play a role in marketing South Africa. And they're not scripted. They don't come to us and give us a script. It's how we express our love for the country. Then eventually, after all of that, I get a telegram.
Jeez, it's a long time
I
ago.
do not know.
We know what a telegram is.
So I get a telegram from Unilever.
Iti, Nomasonto, stop.
You must come for panel interview
Stop.
on this date. Now the
Yes.
panic is real. Panel interview. I must go to town. I must, So anyway, that's how I end up at Unilever.
King David Studio podcast.
Once in a while, I have superstars. Abu Kaifa Siminya. Today, I have someone that I've known for a little bit, as when I used to work with the city of Tshwane, and then she was heading up marketing and communication at the city of Tshwane, and now she's heading up the South African tourism as an acting CEO. We have with us Nomasonto Ndlovu. How are you, ma'am?
Hi, David. Good afternoon. How are you?
We're great. We've had run-ins, Mina, now.
Yes.
Particularly in the
On
past
radio.
month or two
Yes.
on the radio. Let me first
Yes.
express gratitude for your division within government for seeing us as a valuable platform as Radio 2000, because we've been carrying your message quite often and we appreciate that. I can't believe I'm thinking on behalf of the SABC.
On behalf of but thanks for having me today. I'm quite interested at this discussion. I'm looking forward to it, and the birth of it came at Indaba actually.
Yes.
So I'm excited to be here. So thank you for the opportunity. But I think, as you've said, South African tourism, you don't have to thank us because we're doing the work of the Lord, the work of promoting South Africa, and the media is an essential partner. And I'm going right across. So it's not only that particular media house you mentioned, but we have to look for all the media and engage them and make sure that they can carry the message of tourism. Because we know tourism has got no, let me say what, it does not discriminate. Everybody can travel. It just depends, your scale and my scale, depending on the pocket. But everybody has a right to travel and see the country. Those people those are in South Africa. But what we also know is that the people who come from outside South Africa, they come into the country, they bring in the foreign direct investment, which is so much needed, as you know, our issues as a country. So the tourism work goes right into the economy. And therefore the media is an essential partner in telling that story and helping us to get more people into the country, more people traveling the country.
How popular are we as South Africa to the international community? You say your role essentially is to sell us to everybody else, including sell us to ourselves.
Yes.
Sell South Africa to us. How popular are we?
Well, South Africa is a very prominent tourist destination across the world. In each of the markets, they perform differently. But we can already tell you that for the Germany market, we are like the number one tourist. They are the number one source market for us.
Okay.
So we get a lot of numbers from them. We are quite popular in the USA. And it doesn't matter how far it is in terms of the long haul, because we are a long haul destination, David. So,
Yes.
but in each of these markets, and we track the performance by market. So we are able to extract for you how each of these markets is actually delivering for us. that's an indication of the popularity of the country.
Yeah.
And people have come to ask for South Africa by name and surname that we have. And they know about the country. They know about a lot of talent from South Africa, leaders, including Nelson Mandela. When we are, around the world, we are seen as the Mandela children.
That's true.
And that keeps on contributing to the marketing of the country and getting the would-be travelers to be interested to go and experience where those people came from. So there's a lot that draws people here, but we have become a significant player globally. Of course, we are aware that we are a developing country.
That's true.
So we do not compare ourselves with the developed world, as it were. If you look at the tourist numbers for the USA and compare to ours, so you can't do that. But you've got to look at, for those markets, how does South Africa feature for them. So recently, coming out of COVID, the USA has become the fastest growing for South Africa.
So Americans are coming here.
They are coming, and it's the Americans with money. It's the high end.
Okay.
So it's the luxury market. They want to come here. And when they tell us they want to come here, they tell us that, yes, we want to see, the safari and all the great stuff. But there's a huge interest in the people of South Africa.
Yeah.
The culture of South Africa. And that is something that is so intangible to sell. It's not a mountain.
It's difficult to point at.
But it's the soul of the destination that comes through its people.
Yeah.
And we are delighted to be tasked with such a job. To go and sell the soul of South Africa.
What is that? What do they say they're looking for? I hear that they're looking for the South Africa, but I heard Batubani Tom Cruise saying Ubuntu. It's almost tricky for a South African to talk about it.
Yes.
But it's always pleasant to hear a foreign national refer to it.
The feedback that we get, and I'm glad you asked that question, because it also speaks to how we market South Africa to the world.
Yeah.
We first do the basic marketing job, which is understanding the consumer.
Of course.
So we go to each of those markets, which we have selected in terms of our research to be the top markets for us that deliver about 92% of our arrivals and spend. So we have cut the world, and we have chosen through research 24 markets that we focus on.
Yeah.
But for each of the markets, we go and we do work to understand the traveler coming from that part in terms of consumer insights. Where do they want to go? What do they want? What's important to them? And all those things. And when they talk about South Africa, imagine talking about a place you don't know, but they've heard. They're like, no, we hear that people are warm. That we are a happy nation. We're always smiling. They just are attracted to the character of South Africans when they engage them. And they say when they've come here, it's not about the mountain that they will remember the most, but they'll remember how their interactions with the people.
It's how we treat them,
It's
essentially.
how we treat them, but not treat them like in a robotic way.
Of course.
Make sure that your bed is right, everything. It's that Ubuntu.
Yeah.
That it's so difficult to even explain.
Yeah.
It's how we open our hearts and our arms for the visitor. And we really just come out and be very welcoming. So they will always talk to this warm and welcoming thing about South Africans. You can't put your
finger on it.
I can't explain it either.
And it's tricky to
but
sell
it's
it.
there.
Yeah, and you know it's there.
They know it's there, and they will know it's there. So if you are in America, they have enjoyed engaging with the Trevor Noah.
Yes.
Who is giving them a soul of what South
So
Africa.
he's done well for
he's
South Africa.
And they will talk about him, not knowing him, but sort of having felt his energy through the show. and so they will do that with the rest of the other South Africans that are doing well in America. So South Africa is a big destination. It's a big soul destination, but its people does so much. There's so much more in the value chain of trying to sell the destination.
It's actually quite heartwarming to know that it's not the mountain, it's not the lions, it's not the big five. It's the people. They're here to see, essentially.
And it's even not that. It's the cocktail.
Okay. When you bring them all.
Because it's what happened when I was at this experience. The people that I met there, the people that I had food with, the music, the dance, that they experienced on their journey to try and understand South Africa. So you will hear stories that were told during a game drive that my ranger was so nice, and they can't explain, but it happened at the experience. So that is what South Africa is about, and we must try and captivate the world using this spirit of South Africa.
What I also like about it is that you can't teach it. We clearly have it in all of us. It's something that with all the problems we have, we're still able to dance, we're still able to smile, we're still able to have an engaging, entertaining conversation. You see us on social media, on TikTok, we do all those things.
Yes.
And clearly people want to be a part of it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, South Africans have a way of laughing at themselves.
Yeah,
in the most
I criticize us so much for that, but then it's it
is who we are.
Yes, and there's a Tswana phrase that says even in the midst of the hardest of times, you will find a laughter, and we embrace that phrase so much. Yes.
So that is the task for us to try and take that package and to sell it to the world.
Do you know what the Germans are looking for if they're such a big market?
Yes, I mean, like I say, every market we look at the insights.
Yeah.
So the Germans are looking for those wide open spaces, the nature. They're taken by that. They will always go back to the wildlife. It is just so intriguing for them. And remember also for these markets, what's also intriguing is that when you come to South Africa, you experience nature. It's not in a zoo. It's not packaged in a closet. You go to the Kruger National Park and it is wide open spaces. And we don't promise you the big five. We'll say we don't know if we'll see it, but we know we have it. Today the lion might come out, but tomorrow the lion might be tired.
That's true.
So you might have to come here the whole week to actually say, I saw
today is the buffalo, tomorrow is the lion. Who knows?
So the Germans would be attracted still to, in terms of those things, in terms of the wildlife, the scenic beauty, and also what is interesting and quite lovely about South Africa is when in Europe they are having their winter. We're having summer.
Yeah.
So they chase the sun. They like to come out here, to actually experience our summer. And so that weather thing, it works out very well
in
for
our
us.
favor.
And even when we do have the so-called winter, it's not as harsh.
Yeah.
So they will still be wanting to be here, during our winter months, which are slightly warm for them. And really looking for those things.
Yeah.
You know that with the advent of the pandemic, we have a lot of people looking for that outdoor adventure, wanting to be out there.
We saw an increase in that.
Yes. So that continues to be a trend that continues to grow.
Yeah.
People want to actually be out in the wild. Nice thing is even the South Africans
want to do that. There was an sudden increase in hiking. I saw that. Can't put on much all of a sudden. South Africans.
Yeah, hiker. Yeah. So outdoor adventure, it's what the market will also be looking for. And they are quite an adventurous market. These are the people who will come here and want to curate their own trip instead of using a tour operator.
Yeah.
They will be willing to get into a car and self-drive, get a 4x4 and drive from Joburg to Cape Town. These are the guys who they just love the adventure.
Yeah.
So for us is to make sure that when they get on that adventure, we can highlight for them the things to see and do as you do that. But what becomes nice as well is because they also want to understand the locals. When they go on those adventures, they want to stop and engage with the locals, talk to the people, engage, buy stuff made by the locals,
eat the food.
And South African food is actually quite popular. So yeah.
It's interesting for me because you speak with so much passion when you speak about this sector. I've always known you to be in love with it. I always said, Nomasonto uthanda strat.
Yes, I love running. Thank you very much.
I've said this to you on the radio once. And it took me a while to accept that the job that you do forces you to go to the world because you sell it.
Yes.
But I want to go back to the beginning.
Yes.
Now you're playing the role of acting CEO of SA Tourism. The beginning. Yes. Where were you born, man?
I'm a Durban girl.
Through and through.
Through and through. Okay. So I was born in KZN. I grew up in one of the townships there called Entuzuma.
Okay.
Which was quite an interesting time, of course. I went to school in the township there. And I then went to university at UKZN. Now they call it UKZN.
What was it then? Which one?
It was University of Natal, the Howard College.
Yes.
So for a very long time, I only knew of KZN as a place. I'm not going to take it to what was happening then.
Nothing outside.
I did not even know that there was Joburg.
What was going on in your life?
I did not know that, the only time I heard about these things was when I was studying geography. It was like, there's different
places.
Provinces.
Then it was about Transvaal.
So for that period of at least in the 80s, you got to know about the country through what we were being taught in the class, and we didn't just have the opportunity to come and see Johannesburg, Cape Town, and all of that. I think my very first time to come to Johannesburg was when I had finished matric.
Okay.
But because I was always an adventurous human being, I said to my mom, no. Because, because of the violence back then, the schools were closed and we delayed our matric and all of that.
Is it the late 80s?
Yeah, so I actually matriculated in 1989.
Okay, yes.
But just building up those last
No,
years,
it was
quite rough. So sometimes you miss school, you were not there, and, things were happening. So I said to my mom, I've now missed, applying on time. So I said, no, I want to go to Johannesburg and speak to these universities. And my mom thought this was very weird. You're going to live here. You're going to go to a place where you don't know people.
And you're going to speak to
find a university. You're going to go and find a dean.
Yes.
And I need to find these people for these faculties. And, she just never understood some of the things that I wanted to do in life. So I got on a bus, came to Johannesburg.
She agreed?
She agreed because she had friends that were coming from Johannesburg. So she said, okay, you'll go, but only if you go and stay with them. Then they'll look after you.
True.
But she was not just happy. So I only got to know Johannesburg very late in my life.
Yeah.
And
was that your first long trip out of KZN?
Yeah, because I had never, I had actually never left KZN.
Yeah.
So the long trips were in between KZN and going from the south to the north, So I grew up in KZN. If you catch me going deep into my vernacular, you might not even be able to understand. Ngizokuzwa
kahle mina.
Sengikhuluma isiZulu esiqinile.
Nami ngene khona isikole.
Is it? Yeah. So that is where I studied there at a school called Siatutuka High School.
Yeah.
You might remember, when I turned 50, I did a bit of work trying to fundraise for my school, because when I went back to the school, this is amazing when you go back to your school and you find that the school is not what it was.
Yeah, it's worse than what it was.
And you cry and you remember the memories and what happened and how the school just molded you. And suddenly you get there, the doors are not closing, and there's no ceiling, and then there's no desk, and there's so we did well. I actually decided to give up my gifts for my 50th
to that.
Let's raise funds. I wanted to raise at least 50,000. I think we ended up with 100,000 or thereabout for the school, and just to be able to improve here and there. I'm still part of that a project that we are doing with the school. So because all of us that we used to study there, so we've come together to try and see what we can do to take the school back to its glory.
Yeah.
So it's what molded me, KZN township, and what was happening back then. So we grew up my father was very strict. You will not go out of the house after 5 o'clock.
So you were one of those kids. Yeah. Did you try to defy that?
No. My father's my father's word was my father's word. You are not going. You are not going, because he was a pastor. So when he spoke, you sort of stopped and you listened. So I wasn't.
It was a bigger word.
Yeah. In fact, my teachers will tell you I was never that defiant child. I think one time I cried one day when I tried to sell biscuits at school.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking I could be an
side
entrepreneur.
hustle.
Side hustle. Then I was caught. Did I not cry the whole day? Now they're going to call my mother.
Oh,
they're going to call my dad because I broke the law. You're not supposed to. So I would bake this.
So this was a secret business you were running.
I was selling under the desk. Yeah, I'm a 50-cent biscuit. And then I was caught. And I was so broken because I had to go to the principal. I had to explain myself. Jeez. Then they must call the parents. It became a big thing. Even though now I think they should have allowed me, because clearly I was...
it's a different time.
Yeah.
It's a different time.
So I was quite a disciplined child. Yeah. The rules are rules. Why would you break a rule? A rule, the parents tell you this. But there was always a bit of an adventurer in me. Yeah. And if you allow me to fast forward a bit. Yes. So studying in KZN, being raised in KZN and everything in KZN, then I got my first job with Unilever in Durban.
This is after varsity.
This is after so after my adventure going to Joburg.
The Joburg adventure didn't work.
No, it didn't work. I went and I pleaded, but then I as I was still in Johannesburg, my mother said, "There's a letter for you from University of Natal." Boya. And I was back home. And the letter says, "You've been accepted." I was like, this is it. So I went to study. And I came out and I got a job with Unilever.
Did you study marketing?
I did study psychology.
Oh.
Funny enough.
Yeah.
So I then got this letter. I was excited. Then fast forward 3 years later, you graduate. But my third year, get a letter that Unilever wants to hire me. In a marketing job.
That's why I asked. What were they looking for?
So I panicked. I'm like, how can this? They don't even know me,
Why did you panic though? Do you think this is out of your...
Because, when I got into the Unilever application, it was a joke with my friends. So it was never intentional.
Also, you applied?
We did a bet because they were running this career exhibition at the university, which they did like every year for the third years. And And my friends, so we're all talking about, so who's going to get a job
Oh.
from these companies? And we're like, no, you will never get, no. So everybody, so I'm like, well, I will get a job. They're like, no, ha, ha, ha. It's like, which one? I said, Unilever.
Whoa.
That time, I don't even know what Unilever does. There I am at the library. Before I go to the exhibition, I'm reading about who are these people? What do they do? Oh, they sell Lux. And they sell
these products you use every day.
Now I'm researching, and this is before the internet.
Yeah.
So now I'm sitting in
you
the
have
library.
To book, yes.
You have to go and read. Then we go to the exhibition. Then you go and you fill in a form with different companies. So you ask, can I fill in a form? They say, yeah, they give you. So I fill in a form. They say, tick, what do you want? I said, marketing. So I tick things.
You are just ticking.
But I'm thinking, I have a bet. These guys, I cannot.
You can't lose.
I can't lose this.
Oh, boy.
So anyway, fast forward, they grant me the first interview. So they say, okay, come. So going, do an interview. And I'm disappointed because they don't ask me anything about what I've studied. They don't ask me about this marketing. They're just asking me things that are like me and my life. And I'm like, yeah, those guys, I'm not sure how serious they are. Then eventually, after all of that, I get a telegram.
Jeez, it's a long time ago.
I do not know.
We know what a telegram is.
So I get a telegram from Unilever.
Iti, Nomasonto, stop.
Iti, you must come for panel interview on this date.
Yes.
Now the panic is real. Panel interview. I must go to town. So anyway, that's how I end up at Unilever. Yeah. So I go through that. It is quite a hectic process because they don't just interview like you're doing.
Yeah.
They put you through stuff.
Really?
So they grill you.
Because it became a popular employer.
Yes.
Amongst upcoming marketing people. And so to get there was a big deal, but you didn't recognize how big a deal it was.
All I know is that the day I got the letter that says, and it came in October, and I'm starting in January. It says, you have been appointed. There's a name of the position. There's a salary. I'm like, and I'm like, my friends, yeah, look at me.
I got the job.
I told you. So it was not something that I had really planned to say I'm going to. It was literally a game amongst friends.
Yeah.
And I end up in Unilever. Of course, I end up liking it. But what I was trying to say to you is that in the adventurous nature that I tend to be, at Unilever, I get an opportunity to go to Kenya.
Okay.
I have not left this country.
Is it an appointment or just a trip?
It's a secondment.
Oh, hell. So it's not one day.
Yes. I'm going to move there. I'm going to stay there. And it's a 6 months assignment.
Yeah.
So they say, yeah, you're going to go. Of course, my mother is like, ooh, wazibani lapho in Kenya.
That's a good question.
Uzohamba la, you're going to go all the way.
You don't know.
Stay with people. You don't know anybody.
Shit.
And I suppose it's a thing, with our parents of that era. It's like, well, at least if you're going to go to a place that is not known.
There must be someone.
Yes. I'm like, who do you know? Not even know.
The whole country, you don't know her.
Nobody. So I said, I only know Unilever. And she's not convinced there. Then I have to strike a deal with her. She said, look, let me go. Whilst I'm there, I'll also make sure that you come. So you see if I'm okay.
Yes.
So
she agrees.
Yes. But if you think about it, at that time, for us young girls, black girls, I have never left South Africa.
Yes. You've only been to Joburg.
I've only been to Joburg
yes.
At that point. So this whole thing is a thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, so what's going to happen there? But I go there. I don't know the language. I don't know anybody. I do not know what to expect, except that I know Unilever. And Unilever is a global organization.
Of course.
So when you go to a country, at least you know that the terms that you're going to use are the same.
Yes.
So if you say a brand manager, you know exactly what a brand manager does.
That's true.
So they standardize a whole lot of things that it makes your life a little bit easy. But still, you don't know anybody.
It's still a foreign space.
Advertising is done in Kiswahili. Okay? Bathi karibu
Yes, what the hell? There, look at that.
But
that is Swahili.
Yes.
Jumbo.
Jambo bwana, habari mzuri
There you
sana.
go.
Yes. So, but I get into that space. I know I have 6 months. I get into lessons of Kiswahili.
Okay.
Because when I'm going for research, like, Unilever does a lot of focus groups, before we launch campaigns and whatnot. I have to listen, I have to understand.
Ooh.
So I'm learning Kiswahili. I'm learning to drive in this market, which, I mean, if you've ever been to Kenya.
I've been.
It's, the driving can be a little bit,
tricky.
There's
a lot of motorbikes.
Yes. So, but I can only understand now that I was being trained for the adventure that I'm now on.
For the work you do now.
Yes, because even when I was there, I had to brush up my knowledge of South Africa. It forced me now to sort of know what is in Cape Town, because people are asking me.
Yay.
So when I'm going on my back home trip, I must go and figure out.
And learn these
because
places.
The 6 months became 3 years.
What?
Became 3 years, and I stayed longer. Now I really enjoyed the country. I became a tourist there. And but I also was proud to be a South African.
Yes. And you had to know South Africa. So when they talked to you about it, you had something to say.
So completely, I did not know what was that preparing me for.
Yeah, you were just...
But I remember at sometimes walking in the streets, and like I'm walking with somebody from South Africa and we are speaking in isiZulu.
Yeah.
Then somebody jumps. You're from South Africa? Yeah. How? Then they just get into the Zulu, and we are all talking like in isiZulu in this foreign land. So, and I think those are the adventures that were seeded in my life back then, and now they
come in handy.
They come in very handy.
Let's talk about mom. You mentioned her a lot. Was she an influence in your life at all?
So my mom. Now, this is the tricky part again, David. So my mother actually worked for Southern Sun Hotels.
Okay.
So
tourism sector?
Yes. and so I'm saying there's things that happened to me in my life, but I didn't actually at the time know.
Yeah.
So she worked for quite a lot, like 20 years.
Yes.
In Umhlanga, the Cabana Beach Hotel. And she used to take us to work, how it was, because she used to run a childcare center there for the Southern Sun, for the Cabanas hotels. It didn't make sense. So, but I suppose her working in a hospitality space. So the hospitality that I now know of, the service service industry that I'm now landing in, there is influences of, because how we were brought up.
Yeah.
My mom is a person who was a perfectionist. Yeah. So if you lay the table, she wants to make sure that everything is. I didn't know where she learned this from, because she wasn't like your person who has like degrees and stuff, but she was very meticulous about doing stuff and doing it right.
It came from the hotel.
It was coming from the hotel side. So she was always an influence in the sense that she taught me a lot about independence. She silently taught me about leadership. And also because unfortunately my parents divorced when I was about 14, and that changed everything. Because it takes you to, as a firstborn, you know that I'm a firstborn, but as a firstborn, you sort of take on the responsibility.
You become deputy parent, they call it.
Yes, so you are I'm helping my mom to look after my siblings. Yeah. I'm helping my mom to look after the household.
Jeez.
I'm just like the deputy in this household. So a lot of the can do and being self-sufficient, I've learned that from my mother, which without saying it, you sort of learn that nobody's coming to save you.
So you learn that quickly.
You learn very quickly.
Was Daddy completely removed from the system?
He was completely removed from the system. So it was like, nobody's gonna come and save us. We're gonna make it work. And she would come from end of the month, and she would put the salary on the table and say, let's plan.
How many siblings were you dealing with?
I've got 3 siblings.
Okay.
My sister, my 2 sisters, and then my brother. My brother is now late.
Oh, that's kiss.
And it was like, we have to be in charge of this household. We are in charge. We must buy this. And she would do something that's amazing. She put the whole salary here and said, okay, what can be done with this?
And what's important?
Yeah, so
because you learn
so
there.
I must take a pen and say, maybe we buy groceries of how much? No. Scratch that. We need to pay for electricity.
And you were young here.
I was young.
14.
I was 14, 15. It was so you, tough as it was.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't easy. Tough as it was, it toughened me up.
So many lessons come from that. It's not only leadership, but it's just a sense of responsibility.
Too much, yes. So, sense of responsibility, life would be hard, but you need to show up and you need to get on with the business.
Yeah.
And I've taken those lessons and I've carried them through. And I try to now pass them on to my kids.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with the kids of today, they grow up having everything. So we grew up having nothing. Now they grow up having everything. Yeah. And for them, life is slightly different. They have everything in front of them.
It's almost twice the work to teach them responsibility, because the circumstances are slightly lighter compared to yours.
Yes. Yeah. So now I open them for them bank accounts. I say, guys, there's money in your bank account. You must decide how you're going to spend it. And you can see the difference between the other one and the other one, how they react to money in the bank account.
You're already seeing.
I already see.
Do you already know who's like you?
Yes. The other one is like, Mommy, can we go by the garage? I want to buy some sweets. I'll use my money. I'm like, you're going to take my money that I put in your card, buy sweets? That by the time we get home, they're going to be finished.
Yes.
So we'll have those conversations. Then she said, but it's my money now. I can decide what I want. So many lessons, but they've prepared me for where I am today in terms of tourism, in terms of the sector, and where I learned having to lead, even before SA Tourism, when I was in Limpopo Tourism, I found myself in a space where I didn't know the languages, but I was there.
And you had to learn.
I had to.
You navigate.
I had to find a way.
Being such a Joburg/Pretoria person, we are familiar with a lot of the languages. So when you say you went there and you didn't know the language, for a second I said, but how come? And then I remember you're a KZN girl.
No. KZN and KZN people in languages, yeah. Bit of a challenge.
I'm glad you know.
Yeah. No, we know. But I always try to go against the grain. Yeah. So when I went to Limpopo, there were a lot of people around me who said, "What? No, you can't do that. Why would you go to Limpopo? Those people, they're going to come at you, kachivenda." So I'm like, yeah, no, bring it on.
We'll see.
And when I was there, and I think it was a blessing in disguise, because I was there, I had no qualms about any of the main cultures that are there. So for me, it was like an adventure. Yeah, I will be with I would be in Toyando, and I'm totally immersed. I'm loving it. And you pull me out of there, you take me to Guyana. I'm like, give me a shibela, and I'm in. So and because I didn't have anything against, it's like you go there with no preconceived ideas. You just live. Like I went to Kenya. Kenya is very tribal at the time. So when you get there, they say, "What tribe are you?"
They asked that question.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
I'm Zulu.
But they would say I look like them, so I should be one of their tribes. And they would even allocate a tribe. You look like a particular tribe. No, really? So for them, tribes are like a big deal. And then I'm like, no, I'm from South Africa, and when I know my tribe, I'm Zulu. Really? You know Shaka Zulu? Yeah, my great
kinda. Wow. Yes. The adventurous side of your personality, are you able to trace it in your family?
Actually not, eh?
You
Actually
are
not.
a pioneer.
I'm like a pioneer. Yeah, you're right. I try, and because when I said to my mom, I'm going to university, she said, "Oh, my child, as much as I'd love to support you, I just don't have the money for varsity."
Yeah.
So how? I'm like, "No, I got it."
How did you pay it?
I said, "No, I got it." Because you see, because I became resourceful at a young age. So already when I was applying for a bursary
As well.
I'm like, no, I've got a bursary here, and if it's not enough, I'll get a loan. Don't worry.
What?
So I went to school. The Sunday I was supposed to go and check in at the university. She was like, "No, we don't have." I was like, no, don't worry. I went to next door neighbor, a principal who was living just across the road. I said, "Sir, would you please take me to university?" My mom thought, okay, well, I don't know whose child is this, because she was just seeing, no, we can't do it because I don't have. I said, no, don't worry, I've got it covered. So I asked neighbors, went to university.
Wow.
And didn't make it her burden. I said, no, I'll sort it out.
So you solved most of your university.
I solved my problems.
That's actually
she never had to go and pay.
Yeah.
So I got a bursary. Parts of it, I got a loan. I came out and I paid out my, it was called what? TEFSA at the time.
Yes, that's what it was. It's
now?
NSFAS now. Now it's nicer.
Yes.
But complicated.
Is it nicer?
It's
it was
complicated.
Easy at the time.
Yes.
I mean, they were, they gave me a loan. It was so seamless.
Yes.
But I went through that with this solution-oriented mind.
Mm-hmm.
I even said to her, no, weekends, I'm going to find a piece job. So you don't have to worry about me.
Pocket money.
Cosmetics and all of that, I'll sort it out.
Sure.
So I was like solution-oriented.
Do you think you've remained that type of person?
I think I have.
Yeah.
My approach to work just in general is, guys, let's find a solution.
Yeah.
I go to an extent where I say at Exco, I don't want to hear how it can't be done. Let's think like water. Mm-hmm. Water for me is phenomenal because water is so determined it will get through anything.
True.
If it must go under, above, in between it. So I was like, let's find a solution. Let's tell me how it can be done.
Yeah.
How can it be done? And then let's brainstorm around.
How can it be
done? If it's the policies, so the policies are here. So how can we do it within our environment?
That's true.
Within the compliance environment.
Yeah.
You worked with us in Tshwane.
Yes.
Tshwane was not easy. It was challenging, but we did a lot of good work.
It was at the time the most branded city in the country.
Yeah. So we did a lot of work that people said, how do you do that in a municipality?
Yes.
In a local municipality, how? So it was like, how do you get around the challenges and how do you get to the end and still be compliant?
Yeah.
And by understanding these laws and say, okay, fine. So if we can't do it that way, we'll do it that way. And this is how we're going to manage the compliance environment. So I think I've taken that on.
Yeah, it's still a part of you.
Limpopo wasn't easy either.
Because you were there as the head also, the CEO.
I was the CEO,
yeah. Of tourism in Limpopo.
Yes, Limpopo wasn't easy. I relate a story where one day I woke up and then the staff had placards say the CEO must go. And I'm like, how?
What did
I
you
just
do to
walked
them?
in.
Were you fairly new?
I was fairly new, but they wanted bonuses.
So you said no.
And I had never encountered such a thing in my life. I was like, what? So what now? People are marching and putting my name up. I'm like, it's so weird.
How did you react to that?
But you sort of take it in because there's no time to cry.
No.
There's no time to go into your office and cry about it. So it's like, okay, fine. Let's call everybody. Yeah. What exactly is the issue? Because I don't know. I've just walked in here.
And you have a placard.
Let's have a conversation. If I mean to go to job, well, let's talk about those who hired me here. But right now, what is the matter?
Mm-hmm.
So we talk, we have to go, because remember, in a government environment, bonuses are very tricky.
Yeah.
So, but now that I understood the consumer problem statement, so I'm like, now I'm able to sort of maneuver around the problem.
Yeah.
So I do what I have to do in terms of the board, the this, the that, all the beautiful structures, all the way to MECs, and just pleading the case.
Yeah.
It's in psychology, it's empathy.
Yes, that's what it is.
It's understanding. It's getting into somebody's feet and try to understand, because they build their case, what happened in the many CEOs that they'd had, yada yada. And now I didn't even recall this. So I met one of the employees from Limpopo the other day, and she said to me, "Oh, my CEO, you know that you are the only CEO who paid us bonuses."
You did well.
I didn't even know. But we solved the problem, legally so, approved, but they got something. So it became a
and
happy,
they still
happy
remember.
day. And then this person reminds me. I was like, what? And I think at the time I didn't really understand that for them it's that deep. So finding a solution, we'll find a solution for as long as you are given the opportunity. So the province gave me the opportunity. They gave me the runway to sort of say, okay, you are the CEO, you run, you come to us as the leaders, we do 1 and 2 and 3, and it was done within the law. So yeah, it's something, as you're saying, that
it's
is
that
now,
young
is
girl.
now inbuilt in
It's
me.
that young girl still the same.
Yes.
Your time at Unilever, was it something that you look back at and say it taught you the basics of marketing? Because you walked in there as a psychology major.
I actually walked in there as a graduate trainee.
Okay.
And because that is how they hire you, as a graduate trainee. And when you're a trainee, you do everything, coffees, wash the dishes maybe some days.
Yeah.
So I grew in Unilever phenomenally, from zero to hero. By the time I left Unilever, I spent 10 years.
Jeez, that's long. 3 of it in Kenya.
3 of those in Kenya.
Yeah.
And I still think that my time in Kenya was the best time of my life, my working life.
Yeah.
I came into my own. I was very young. I was not even 30 when I went to Kenya. And I achieved so much there. I mean, I went into Kenya with very clear objectives. Unilever is very big on anti-competitor strategies.
Okay.
So I went in there to implement an anti-competitor strategy. So I had to go and do a plan. I had to get everybody aligned in 6 months. And it's a new market. So it's a market where you walk into a factory and guys look at you and they're like, this little one is going to tell us what to do with this product.
Yeah.
Because as a brand manager, you have to go to the factory and engage with people in the factory in terms of the quality of the product.
Yeah, wow.
And if you come in as a young brand manager and say you're not happy, and there are these Abasebenza factory they've been making, they then want to say, hey, man, this Omo I don't like. No, the perfume is not the
it's
one.
It's not right.
So I learned marketing. I got a lot of training in terms of brand marketing, like South Africa, regionally, and globally. Because Unilever will train you. Unilever, if there's one thing they will do, there's training galore. And they don't care. You can come with an MBA, no MBA. You will go to the Unilever training.
Okay. They assume you don't know our way.
So we always say you become Unileverized.
Okay.
So it's you do things the Unilever way. So I was very fortunate that I had some of the amazing bosses, but I just had the opportunity to learn from the best. I mean, Unilever, they pride themselves as a marketing company, as the marketing company.
More than a product.
A manufacturer.
True.
Yes. But if you look at Unilever, they manufacture goods. But they never position themselves. They are a marketing company. So they have the marketing academy in London.
Amazing.
And the one thing you want to do when you go to the academy, you feel like now I've made it.
Yeah.
So I was trained. I learned. I made mistakes. They allowed me to to become.
Yeah.
Because, we learn with our mistakes.
That's true.
But imagine if you have an environment that allows you to make a mistake.
Jeez, it doesn't get better.
Because nowadays, especially in a government environment, you're not allowed to make a mistake. So that environment allowed you to learn, to show that you are learning, to they give you responsibility.
Do you remember which product you sold?
In Unilever, I know all my products. So you'll be surprised. So I've worked on Rama margarine.
Okay.
The best tasting margarine in the world.
Well.
So I worked on Rama, I worked on Flora, I worked on Stock. So these were the...
Do you know we didn't know that they were competitor brands? Or rather, they were from the same company.
Yes.
My mom loved Stock, wanted nothing to do with Rama.
So we did a good job.
You did.
Because the idea was, if you are a Rama brand manager, you are even competing in the business with the other guys.
Wow.
You do not want to be outdone by the other guys. So I worked in the margarine category.
Okay.
I worked in from there. I then worked in the Omo business, which at the time was the biggest sort of brand. So when I was in Kenya, I was working on Omo.
Okay.
And Omo was the brand to work on.
Did you find Omo already established in Kenya?
Because remember, Unilever is a global organization.
True.
So if you say Rama here, you'll find it.
Of course.
So Omo was already a brand that side. I worked on, and then when Unilever merged with Robertson's, I worked on the culinary range, which was the Robertson's range.
Jeez, all those spices.
All the spices. Yes. So I worked on all the spices. I worked on aromats. I worked on kuno, soups. So I always say to people, I've worked on. I used to sell soup and soap for a living.
Imagine that. Wow.
So I worked on all those brands, and each of those brands, it's quite amazing the work that goes into
getting us to buy.
Finally,
it's getting us to buy, because that's really the work.
Yes,
incredible.
Yes.
I've always been fascinated by the work that Unilever does, and we said it. We loved the tub, the Stock. We wanted nothing to do with the silver, the unwrapping of Rama. We wanted nothing to do with it. I know that my mom liked the...
Until Rama launched the tub.
Exactly. They launched the four squarish tub. I remember that. Interesting, Wow. So your marketing became sharper and sharper.
It became sharper and sharper. In fact, when Unilever moved from the round tub to the... So I launched the square tub.
Rama.
Rama.
Yes.
And all of that, I mean, there was a campaign that you will know.
Remind me.
One bite.
Oh, yeah.
Just one bite.
You did just one bite.
And you're right, Rama. So I worked on that campaign for days.
Incredible.
And the way that Unilever is such a perfectionist when it comes to branding. You go into a shoot, you're shooting the advert that is going to be on the billboards. And the focus is the smile and the bread and the bite.
You have to get it right.
Get it right. Get it right.
The poor model will smile the whole day.
So I was introduced to this world of advertising and developing ads and developing powerful ads, because Unilever pride itself in not just developing ads, but you develop powerful ads that are memorable, that are award-winning, that are effective in terms of the marketing.
True.
Because the ads
that sell product.
Because they're not just for fun. Those ads are to move the product.
Yeah.
So you can say that is where I cut my teeth in terms of marketing.
You know, your story is similar to a lot of people who went to Unilever. They'll tell you, I wouldn't be the marketer I am if I hadn't gone to Unilever.
But to move that to the next phase of your question is that I then got to a space where I said, I've learned so much from Unilever. I should maybe now look at taking this knowledge into improving or helping my country.
What was preoccupying you about your country at the time?
So at the time, and I remember one day I went to my boss and I said, it's so lovely to be at Unilever, but it feels like I'm in a fishbowl.
Okay.
And he looked at me and thought, There she goes again.
Yeah.
So he says, what do you mean? I said, because you feel protected. You feel like everything is curated. Everything, like you can't go wrong. Even if you're going to make mistakes, you make them within your fishbowl.
Yeah.
You are so protected in a way.
It's a safe space.
It's a safe space.
Yeah.
And I said, I feel like I just don't know the world, like the real world.
You realize it's the same KZN child that wants to go to Joburg.
Yes.
You wanted to try.
So I'm like, no. And at the time, the KZN Tourism CEO had called me into a meeting.
Okay.
To say, well, we've identified you. You're one of the top marketeers here. Would you mind joining KZN Tourism? What do I know about tourism? What are you talking about? But I, in our talk, I was like, wow, here's what I can use, what I've learned for all these years, for the benefit of the country.
Yes.
But we had this conversation, and eventually it got to a point where it was, but money-wise, it's not going to work.
Okay.
So how are we going to do this? So then he explained to me how Unilever actually had worked with the country in developing that campaign that you will know, Alive with Possibility.
Of course, that big one.
That big campaign.
Yeah.
Actually, my boss at the time, a lady called Jackie Reiser, had been seconded to IMC, which was the International Marketing Council, to develop the country brand. So what I think now is called Brand SA. So she went with some of my colleagues, and they were seconded, and they were working there. So this person from TKZN, Tourism KZN, was fresh from that experience and saying, well, we've been working with Unilever at a national level.
Yeah.
Perhaps we could stretch it to the province.
Yes.
I then, I had a fantastic boss from the Netherlands, and I said, how about... I'm in a fishbowl here. And he says, oh, okay. So you want to play? You want to go play? We can allow you to go and play and come back. Then I linked the two bosses, and we all had a conversation. And he was a fantastic guy, and he was always innovative in his things. He said, oh, you go play. We will pay.
Wow, look at that.
So you go on secondment, we will pay. And then you come back.
Wow, that's a very unusual.
So he sort of thought I had this itch to go and
go
see
scratch it.
So he's like, go and come back.
Yeah.
We're gonna, because now the KZN Tourism had to solve the money problem. He said, no, I'll take care of that. we'll pay you. So that's how I end up in tourism for the first time.
Wow. Paid by Unilever.
Paid by Unilever. So on a secondment by Unilever.
To government. What an unusual setup.
So I'm really enjoying this thing of you are doing work for the flag.
Yes.
You are doing work for your country. It's not about the bread.
Yeah.
It's about something way bigger. And if you remember, this was in 2005 that I actually moved from Unilever to tourism. The country was just a buzz.
Ooh, it's the Mbeki years. It's a very different time.
It was the 10 years of democracy.
Yes.
So we were just like, as a country, just doing well, in many aspects.
Winning rugby and winning.
But also just, when you went into the world and say, I'm from South Africa, So this is how I end up in tourism. I get the secondment now as the general manager for marketing, and I'm now really traveling the country because I must know KZN.
Yes.
Because Unilever taught us one thing: you can't market what you don't know. So you've got to know your product.
Yeah.
So in marketing we talk about an immersion. Like you need to immerse yourself in the product, the way that your consumers will see it from their angle.
Exactly. So it forces you to also know the consumer just as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and my task was to bring in the Unilever classical marketing approach into the tourism space, using the Unilever systems, because they gave us access to their systems and their market branding systems and the marketing approach. So I'm playing and I'm using my experience, and it's all good.
And resources as well. Yes.
So I learned, I see that, now this is not the fish bowl I was talking about. Now this is real stuff.
Do you now realize that, indeed there is another world out there?
Yes, I mean, for years when I started in tourism, it really gave me that feeling of there is a real big world that works differently.
Yeah.
But also one thing I could learn was that, but marketing is marketing. Right now, you could give me your Mashabela, whatever brand, I'll market it.
Yeah.
I will know it. I will know your consumers are. So you when you approach marketing, so you can take on anything. You can take on anything in the world if you understand the principles of marketing.
Yeah. You can sell anything.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. What a time. Were you at KZN long?
I was in KZN, so the second one was 2 years. Then after 2 years, I had to go back to selling soap and soup. And
yes.
that proposition didn't. So I went back and I resigned. And I said, no.
What? You left?
So I left, and that is when I said, I want to go to Joburg now.
What were you looking to do?
Because I also still, in my adventure, I was also still felt that I have spent all my life in Durban.
You still had that problem.
Every corner of Durban I know. And now in tourism, you actually have to know every corner of the province.
Yeah.
So you travel the province, extensively. And I thought, no. But we were doing a lot of work in Joburg.
Yes.
The media's in Joburg. So, I was always in Joburg, and the lifestyle of Joburg was just very fascinating.
Yeah.
Not that I was a party animal.
No.
But it was a fascinating destination. And I just felt that even if I just go there for 2 years and come back.
To do what job though? Did you have a job in mind?
Yeah, so I actually left. So one of the conversations I had with the bosses of tourism was they really are excited about private sector individuals, people coming from corporate into the tourism sector.
Yeah.
Because they bring in a new set of skills which can improve how we do tourism.
Yeah.
And they always said, they don't want me to leave. I'm like, well, I will leave because my contract is over and there is no position that I can apply for. And even if I stay for my position, it means I must now downgrade my salary. So I said, I'm not really feeling that. So I got a job at Standard Bank.
Okay. Joburg. Yeah.
So in that period, I got a job in Joburg and I moved.
Is it the
downtown?
Downtown,
Yeah,
the big building.
Yeah, so I was working at the corporate and investment banking.
Yeah,
with the bankers there.
It's Bank City area there. Yes.
So it was a culture shock as well.
What was it about it?
Because first of all, I got to learn that not everybody is like Unilever. Not all corporates approach life like Unilever. So Unilever was very marketing centric in its approach of running, the
business. Yeah.
The bank was banking centric.
Marketing is a support.
A side gig, is a side thing. And I thought, no.
You have to convince them to market a product.
And I felt that there was just a lot of convincing. I'm like, no, but I shouldn't be convincing you about marketing.
Yeah.
No. So I had a little bit of challenge in my mind trying to gather all of this, and eventually at the first job available at tourism I applied.
Yeah. But which tourism?
So now I'm in Joburg.
Yeah, so it's Joburg tourism.
So I applied at SA Tourism.
Okay. Oh yes, you did work at SA Tourism in 2008 to 2012.
Yes, exactly. So first job available, I'm applying. I'm like, I have to go back there because I really like the tourism. And we always say in tourism, once the tourism bug catches you, you have no chance.
Yo.
So I don't stay long at the bank. I'm applying at SA Tourism. I get that job to head up the business tourism business unit. And the business tourism was not your consumer tourism, so your B2C. It was actually B2B, because here we talk about people who want to host meetings in South Africa. So you're always conferences, meetings, incentives. So I'm always talking to big groups at the people who are responsible for the big groups,
That's
not
it,
the delegates, but the ones who drive the delegates to the destination. And it's an interesting
sector on its
own. Because suddenly you're not going to sell your mountains here.
No.
Here you talk about the infrastructure, the capacity and capability of this destination to hold large-scale meetings, medium-scale meetings. Why should an event planner choose you over
another country?
Thailand,
yes,
or another destination?
Yeah.
So it's a marketing job, but just the dynamics are
B2B.
Different. Yes.
So and we're building up towards top World Cup.
World Cup.
Whoa.
Yes. So that was another draw card. I was like, I don't know. World Cup must find me in tourism.
Yes.
So we working towards the World Cup. We're working on the disc dance. We're working on just around the world, talking the story of the World Cup. Because also the World Cup is another capability story of how we are able to host large-scale events. Yeah. You are not talking to the fans, you're talking to FIFA.
True.
So you need to move that body to bring it here. So there's a lot of building. And at the time, we were not doing the bidding, but the bidding is done by those event owners. But when they bid, the destination comes through to say, why this destination?
Yes. And you have to have the answer.
We have to provide the answer and the proposition to actually to help the decision makers choose us.
Jeez. Which country do you always feel like you're competing against?
Well, in terms of the research, we know that Australia gives us a run.
Really?
For our money.
Yeah.
And they somehow also play in the adventure space. Even though it's different adventure.
Very different.
But also it's got a lot of similarities with South Africa. So we tend to be competing a lot with them. But within the African continent, we are always very watchful of destinations like Kenya. In fact, East Africa is a region.
Okay.
Because they've done a good job in sort of branding themselves as the region. So we always have to be mindful in terms of what are they doing versus what we're doing. We still remain a very large destination in the continent.
Yeah.
And our numbers are quite a lot. But we don't sit on our laurels and say, it's fine. We sort of watch
what's happening.
The other competitors who probably have a similar offering.
Value proposition. They sell
similar.
They sell gaming.
Yes. So they can also talk safari.
Yes.
They talk about the beautiful beaches. We can also talk about.
True.
They have got Kilimanjaro.
Yes,
we've got
Table Mountain.
So they because the African experience is what the world is looking for. So they say, I want to go to Africa.
They see it as one.
And that's why Americans, it's interesting because they sort of say, oh, you're from Africa.
Motherland.
You met my brother from Nigeria. No, I haven't. And I don't think I'm going to meet them soon.
No.
Because
I won't run into them.
Yes. So we do look up to these other destinations that they are big players, but internationally, Australia. But also there's a phenomenon that we also have to just check. It's about South Africans when they live here, where do they go?
That too.
So we know that pre-COVID, there was a lot of going to Asia in terms of Bali.
Bali became a thing.
Bali became a thing.
Yeah. Dubai became a thing.
Then Dubai has become a thing even now.
Yes, even now. Okay.
So because it's looking at who wins when we lose.
Because it's always a choice.
Yes.
Yeah, because the consumer has to make a choice.
Yes. So our job then becomes what is different about the South African beach experience than compared to when you go to Thailand.
Okay.
So we've got to then draw the difference so that people can see the different proposition in terms of what we offer. It's not the same as the other side. And also South Africa. Remember, South Africa is a very diverse destination.
True.
In one day, you could have done the safari, the mountain, and the beach.
In one day.
All in one day.
Yes.
And then throw in the food, the wine, the music, and all these other great things that you can layer the experience on top of the experience. So South Africa has all of those things. So we have to sell the destinations as a very diverse destination and differentiate it from the other destinations. But what works for us, which you don't like to hear, is that our rent is weak.
Yeah.
Right now.
I don't like to hear it, and I'm glad you highlighted that, because however, I understand that it attracts a lot
But I was going to say that because it's weak, when you come here with your £10
or your $10
or your $10, it goes a very long way.
It's ridiculous
because now they see the value for money of this destination. In fact, when you're sitting in Europe and you go to try and eat, you buy this bottle of water, it will say 12 euros. You pull out your calculator.
It's 100 and something rand.
Then now you can't say, I'll have Joburg water. You're not sure. You can't say, I'll have tap water, because internationally, you don't know how water is.
Yes.
So you are always safer with a bottle, with a filtered water. But we also have to now explain this value for money. That yes, it might be long haul, might take you a long time to get here. However, when you are here, it's all good.
Yes.
And I talk about the distance to get here because the work that we are doing as part of the recovery plan is really to engage airlines to ensure that there's more flights coming into South Africa to open up the skies, because we know that you will never recover if people can't get to your destination.
True.
So they've got to be able to get here.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that there's a lot of work on its own, because the airlines are not automatically going to put you on their list because they did it before.
Yeah, before COVID.
Yes. So they have to redo the commercial case. They need to, rework the what is the commercial viability of going to South Africa. So they have to do a lot of work.
Yeah. Have we gained that trust though?
You can say that we have, because our airlines, we've done a lot of work, at least last year and the year before. So a lot of airlines that have come back, and they're still coming back.
Okay.
One of the routes that was affected, in fact, maybe two, is that that China was closed for a very long time. And what has happened is that SAA, as we know, sort of stopped flying to Hong Kong and to a lot of these international destinations. So we've lost SAA
as a carrier.
As a carrier.
Yeah.
Brazil, which it used to take you 9 hours to go to Brazil. Now, without a direct airline, it's anybody's guess.
Yeah.
You can
How long
take
it'll take
26 hours to get to Brazil. So now, what does it say for those people who are there who would like to come here? So now they don't have a way of coming back. So the work that we've been doing now is to keep on engaging the airlines to say, this is what we are doing, this is what's going on, show them the numbers with the recovery and all of that. And they're coming back. So I know that Brazil now, there is one airline that is thinking of coming back, I think in October.
Okay. So as we speak, there is no direct?
As we speak, no.
Wow. Hong Kong, have we gotten that line?
Hong Kong, we don't, through SAA.
Okay, yes.
But the other day, I don't know if you saw, we were launching Air China, which is coming directly to Joburg from Beijing.
Wow.
So it's opening up.
It's slowly
it's
getting
opening
there.
up because the recovery has been happening quite nicely.
Yeah.
We're looking pretty good when we compare to last year, numbers are really gone up. What's even more interesting is that domestic numbers have surpassed
pre-COVID numbers.
Yes.
Wow.
So as a tourism sector, we are still driving the recovery story.
Yes.
We know that through COVID, we lost a lot of products that didn't come back. But equally, we've gotten new products.
For example, which product have you lost, for example?
I'm not going to talk about what we've lost, but if you look at, maybe let's talk about, Michelangelo.
Oh, yes, of course.
He's still not. The Hyatt Hotel
in
Rosebank.
The Durban ICC. What is that hotel again? The Hilton Hotel.
So,
still
and for
gone.
many other reasons that they will
True.
close it, because
it's not
it
only
might not
COVID.
be only COVID. There's a whole lot of dynamics.
Yeah.
But interestingly, a lot of other groups are coming through. So that big Hyatt hotel that was in Rosebank is not open. I think they even got offices now or something like that. But the Hyatt group is doing a lot of work in South Africa, launching a whole lot of different products that are slightly different. Like now they have got the Hyatt House.
Wow.
In Rosebank, but just across the road.
I didn't even know that.
You know, and the other day I went to one of the properties there. It's called the Winston House. And I just tweeted about, because there was a beautiful fire, and I tweeted. And then the guy says, well, this hotel is under, it's being revamped. It's going to be relaunched next year as the Park Hyatt.
Wow.
So you have a lot of new products coming through. The Mandela's old house that has now become a boutique hotel.
I didn't even know that.
Houghton. It was launched during COVID.
Yeah. Wow.
With the restaurant there, this beautiful restaurant there. So we know that there are new products, and we also know that people actually have been quite innovative.
Yeah.
Maybe your favorite is that Konka wasn't there before COVID.
Yes, been there once.
But it's a tourism product.
It
because
is.
People come here and
it's
say,
an experience.
They say, what can I do?
And then you're told of Konka.
Then people want to go there. So there's a whole lot of new products that have come through. There's a whole lot that have closed. But so our intention is to make sure that we just pump the numbers so that it gives opportunity for people to reload their products and rework them and re-innovate and come up with new things.
Do we have the right energy in terms of investments? Do we have the right excitement right now? Is there, as you call it, the Hyatt opening and so forth? So do we have people who are saying, look, I'm putting money behind this. There is growth.
My short answer would be yes, simply because I was even reading something about, I think the Radissons, talking about how big Africa is for them from an investment point of view, and they're going to be pumping in more money into the African region in terms of opening more of these hotels. I know that the Marriott went on a drive of actually opening and reopening hotels in the continent. So there's certainly a drive. What is interesting is perhaps the format or the style of hotels. I mean, the Sandton Hotel was not even there before COVID. Yeah? It was launched during COVID. But if you see how hotels have become a hybrid of hotel rooms, apartments, and a commercial space.
Yeah.
So it's mixed use kind of an approach in terms of property management. So you're getting a lot of new ways of actually how these products are actually coming out. Then a lot of them are no longer just a pure hotel.
Yeah.
And you also know that with COVID, we saw a lot of the hybrid working or working from home and the advent of technology sort of taking over. So a lot of these hotels, they're also setting themselves up in such a way that
You can work.
You work at a hotel. There are working spaces. I looked at the Sandton Hotel the other day. They've got a whole area which is just like little cubicles.
Wow.
People come in there and they work, and I don't know, maybe they charge, I'm not sure, but I suppose they have to charge. But so you have got working spaces, then they have a daily below, so you don't have to go too far. And then they have got the whole area which is apartments.
Yes.
And what they do, they try not to mix the residents and the
hotel
guests.
With the guests, yes.
But it's all in one property.
Yeah.
And I always thought, oh, but who goes to Sandton? But amazingly enough, people are actually going to stay in Sandton. So these staycations that we speak about, they come and they go and stay over a weekend. They just want to get out of home, maybe run away from load shedding.
Or the children.
Or the children.
Load shedding. You took us there. What are some of the most difficult things to sell about South Africa? And with load shedding in mind?
It has been a challenge. And we cannot not acknowledge the fact that it has put strain on businesses. Because imagine you have to increase the costs and run a generator to make sure that you can continue doing business. So it is there. It's happened, and what the industry does is that people sort of adapt, and then they find ways and means. So I was surprised that in some of these remote hotels, like in the bush, they will even look at the load shedding and align that to the game drive.
It will go when there's load shedding.
So, okay, power won't be, let's
go to a game drive.
And by the time we come back at 8 o'clock in
Power's
the evening.
back.
So people try, and this is probably the beauty of South Africans, that we're finding solutions. We are a resilient nation. We always want to think around the problem and see how it can be resolved. So, but the one thing which was the most beautiful thing I heard at the beginning of the year was from Richard Quest, because he said to me, "You guys don't have power, but you are not in the streets." And I said, "Yeah."
What meaning we are not?
And he said, but he was fascinated about the app.
Okay.
That everybody goes on the app.
HCOM, for example.
They know exactly when it's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Then they plan their lives.
Like you did. When you walked in, we spent a good 10 minutes trying to figure out.
So, and for him, he had never heard about a Burmaka plan. So he was hearing it for the first time, and it's like, yeah, this is fascinating. In the UK, we'll be in the streets. So I think the South Africans, we found ways.
Yeah.
And the industry, people are finding ways. There will be a cost.
Of course.
And maybe you'll pick it up in the pricing, But one thing I can tell you, David, is that you will never stop a person going on holiday when they made their minds that I'm going on holiday. So whether I will save for it, I will do whatever, but I am going on a holiday.
Yeah.
So I've not heard of anybody who said, I didn't go on a holiday because of load shedding.
No, it can be the reason.
Like when you want to go on holiday, so the industry will still benefit from the need to go on a holiday. We've benefited a lot from this revenge travel that has happened post COVID, and even now we're still in that mode.
What is that? Explain
revenge
that
travel
concept.
is, I was stuck in lockdowns for 2 years. I missed on my annual travels.
Okay.
So I had a list.
Jeez.
So I had to do 1, 2, 3, and I didn't do it. Now there's no
going.
COVID. I'm going to do it. And also, because remember how COVID was so difficult for a lot of us emotionally, and just how people lost their lives, loved ones. But also people learned that life is very short.
True.
So they've got to do these things that they have been postponing.
That's true.
So your revenge travel is, I'm going to travel.
whatever happens.
I am going to travel. Of course, people had saved money because
they couldn't spend.
Some people could not spend.
Yeah.
But we are seeing that trend, and we are leveraging on that trend, and globally we can see that the numbers are looking very, very good.
What is making a South African travel right now? You said there's a there's an uptake of more South Africans traveling, as we call it, short left. What has happened to us all of a sudden? Because it's easy for one to say we don't have disposable money like we probably did a few years ago. A lot has changed. A lot of people have lost jobs. There's been a lot of Section 189. But you're saying the numbers are showing an increase.
So one of the things that drove the domestic tourism for us was the fact that the world was closed.
Okay.
So with the world closed, but the need to get out of the house. So the first day they say, oh, regulations are lifted, you wanted to be out of your house.
Yeah.
So those are the positives coming out of COVID. And also you went through a time when South Africa was closed. You couldn't go to another province. Then it was open. Then you wanted to go to that province. And then the borders were closed. You couldn't go to Namibia. Now you wanted to go when they were lifted. So we've gone through a phase of understanding the fact that we are far away from the world.
Yeah.
And we cannot sit here and think the world will come and save us. So it also became like an active citizenry kind of a thing where citizens are like, let's go out and support the tourism industry, because if we don't, nobody will.
Yeah.
So the sector being closed worked for us. But once people went out and saw South Africa, especially those who would normally go to the Balis and the Dubais, and they had money that they normally would use for these international trips. Now they had to spend it in South Africa because the need was there, and they saw the agency that I need to travel. And now they needed to research more to say, what can I do? So you find people have traveled a lot inspired by the lockdowns. But now that you have tasted some of these things that you didn't know they exist, now you want more of them. So we have now new loyal travelers who want to travel within South Africa because they've discovered things that in the past they did not know, because they used to say, I'm going to Mauritius, I'm going to... So now they have become loyal local travelers.
You said earlier when you lose, somebody gains, and it's obviously vice versa. So the gains are coming from that Bali. So Bali is losing out in this based on the concept of somebody's going to Bela Bela. They could have easily gone to Bali. I used them deliberately like that. You're not sure if you would have replaced Bali with Bela Bela. For me, it's really about the South African traveler that has found it interesting to travel in South Africa. What do South Africans enjoy? Why happy?
South Africans travel. And I think with that, we can also thank the social media because, it's opened up South Africa as a destination over and above our campaign, because for years we've been driving a short left campaign, which was encouraging South Africans to get out of their houses and go and enjoy the country. For a very long time, South African tourism has been driving. I think it's over 20 years now that we've been sort of having this domestic travel campaign going. So South Africans want to, people travel here for like a purpose, so they will be like, what's happening this weekend? And it's about the jazz festival.
Okay.
So you get a lot of South Africans who travel for that purpose. Especially your young guys, they're very much sort of purpose driven. They want to go to an event. And they have now understood that I don't want to go to KZN to an event and go and sleep at my mom's house.
True.
So they want to go there, they'll book it in Zimbabwe, they'll give themselves, they spoil themselves to some bit of luxury. So you have a lot of South Africans who travel for those purposes. But also what has taken off is these friendcations, people going as a group of friends, going to experience a place, whether going hiking together, but sort of making like a whole booking.
Wow.
And using hotels or using campsites or glamping and all of that. It's become a thing, a group of friends that are traveling together just to spoil themselves.
Yeah.
You get a lot of that. You get a lot of people who, in fact, when I was in Limpopo, the one purpose of travel is called VFR, which is visiting friends and relatives.
Okay, yes.
Now, that purpose is very important. So guys from Johannesburg, every weekend, they go home.
Yeah.
And what we try to do from our side is to show them that don't go to men, go and crowd your mother. So look,
you even know the language. Men.
So we want to encourage them still go home.
Yes.
Because it's good for the economy. It creates jobs. When you hit that N1,
yeah,
you leave a lot of money on the road.
Yeah.
You using the garages and all of that. But now when you get home, find a local B&B. Now you're supporting them. You are actually improving the livelihoods there in the area. You are actually creating jobs. You are contributing to the economy. So we've tried to do an educational job that says, what is tourism at the end of the day? And I always say it's beyond the holiday. And the minute we see tourism beyond the holiday, now we can engage tourism far in a more intentional way. Because if we know that we contribute to the jobs, if you don't go to that B&B next to your mother's house, who is going to go there?
True.
So when there's a funeral, please don't go crowding your mom and sleeping on the floor.
There's a B&B.
There's a B&B there. And you see a lot of that. So people are going VFRing, going visiting their friends and relatives, and going for funerals, going for weddings, and going for all of these things, but then booking the hospitality establishments to actually become active tourists in those areas.
Even in their own areas, areas they grew up in.
And then we encourage in the area, the local tourism associations to have a whole lot of ways to market what is there in the area. Wow. When I go back now to my mom's house, and there's a big mountain at home there, and I said, I want to go hiking there. And then they look at me like, oh, we don't go to the mountain. But it's about encouraging people to sort of say, what else can you do in your area? And there's a whole lot of other fascinating things that, as South Africans, we do the tourism, but we don't think we're doing tourism. Moria is still a huge tourism attraction, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because I've been studying that whole church. There's a lot of people who go there, and they actually book the homes
next to
the church.
Wow.
and they stay in the homes. It's the same thing that happened when people came for the World Cup, who also used the homes in Soweto in townships to stay there. But South Africans, if you just drive that purpose for them, then you've got them. There's a Kaizer Chiefs game, they want to go.
They'll go.
But we need now to help them to sort of see more than just the game.
When they arrive,
what else?
They must find something.
Yes. So you get that. But also we don't want to do the marketing that also just stick to the usual. Black people are playing golf a lot.
Yeah.
Young people are fascinated by a whole lot of things in the wellness space. So you're finding people going away. Let's go for a retreat. They go with friends for a whole spa week.
Wow.
And they go. So we've just got to show the variety of things that are there.
Yeah.
Beyond the hotel. And I still say to people that sometimes we need to realize that the hotel is not the holiday.
But we do think that it is.
The hotel is not the ultimate destination. In fact, when you hit the hotel, I want to drop my stuff in the room. I want to go and see nobody now.
Yeah.
So it's critical that even the hotels, we encourage them to make sure that they show what people can do in the area. They encourage them to, because you get into a hotel, even if you go overseas, you don't just land there now and sit and watch the TV and watch the linen, the white linen.
I like that because there are people who think getting at the hotel saying fiki, isn't the it's
hotel you come back to sleep.
Yeah, once you've seen the place.
Yeah, in fact, you might not even eat at the hotel.
Yeah.
So you need to know what's happening in and around.
What is the job of a leader of SA Tourism?
South African tourism is mandated to market the country to bring more tourists into the country. So that's a mandate of South African tourism. Then sub-sector to that, or sub-strategy to that, is to also encourage South Africans to actually travel within South Africa. So our targets are always international and domestic. So as a leader, you need to have sight of the goal. This is what we are trying to do. So we have got 9 offices in 9 countries around the world, with people in those offices focusing on this mandate to say, how do I bring people from Japan? How do I bring people from New York to South Africa? What are the activities and the marketing work that they then do to bring people here? So they all have got their target. But the leader then has to play the role of the conductor,
essentially,
of this choir. So you are in an orchestra, and you've got to conduct the band and make sure that everybody is driving towards that goal. Now remember, it's not only about the guys that we're working with in our markets who we have employed. We have a lot of stakeholders that we have to work with. So as a leader, you also have to make sure that the stakeholders are aligned, because we don't have a product to sell as South African tourism. You
don't own a hotel.
We don't own a hotel. We don't own the mountain. We don't own any of the big 5. We own nothing, but we sell something that others own.
True.
And now, so in the conducting of this orchestra, you've got to bring in the stakeholder at the time so that they tune them up, tune them down. So everybody is driving towards this one big goal.
Do you have willing participants when it comes to the stakeholders, the owners of resources?
Yeah, they are willing, because they know that our obsession is to help them, is to help their tills to ring. So if we have done well, their hotels are full.
True.
They still do their own marketing, because I can't go there and sell a hotel. I must sell their destination. But they then have to latch on to what I'm doing and say, so you heard all about the South Africa. And then in South Africa, Mr. Hotel number A, I'm in Johannesburg, I'm here, and this is what I offer. So when you are coming in South Africa for this conference, you can stay here. So they are very willing, to the degree that it serves their purpose as well, to grow their own businesses. So there is no difference of opinion.
Yes, when it comes to the objective.
We are all moving towards the same thing. We may differ on the tactics, on the how.
True.
But what we're having to do, So we have to lead an organization, SA Tourism as an organization, keep the staff warm, keep the staff focused, keep the staff achieving the targets, because as government, we've got targets. So everybody's building towards our targets. But at the bigger level is the whole destination working together towards this goal. And some stakeholders, we have to massage them a little bit more than others, because they might not be products, but they are people who facilitate this whole process. So, for example, we have to work with all the other departments,
government departments,
because to come to South Africa, the tourism department does not work on visas. There's nothing about. There's another department that works on visas. But the people that I'm trying to convince, they say to me, but I can't get a visa.
He has to sort it out.
So, through our minister, that conversation must happen, to sort of him understanding the pressure points, so that it can be facilitated. So there's an ease of travel, ease of getting into the destination. Because if I market to them, then now they want to come, and they don't have visa. So they are partners in the job, but they don't report to us.
They don't even care about you in some ways.
Yes. So you'll remember when there was issues of the floods in KZN.
Yes.
Tourism has nothing to do with the floods. I'm talking about tourism, but because our stakeholders are affected, And we have to bring people here who must get to KZN.
Yeah.
And they want to ask me questions. So we have to work with the KZN stakeholders to understand the impact of the floods.
Sure.
Where is it safe for people to go in terms of the road infrastructure? And because we must work together.
Yes.
If we don't, we're going to say, well, but I brought 200 people, they couldn't get to KZN. It didn't help anything. So we have to work with a variety of stakeholders.
Yeah.
They all have got different roles to play.
I'm thinking of healthcare. I'm thinking of, you name it.
Everything.
It touches, because you come here, you want to know you're safe.
Yes. You come here, you want to know I can drink the water.
Yes.
And when we had the issue in the Western Cape of no water, it was a big thing. It was a big thing for us as a tourism, because you get asked the question, but I can't come to Cape Town, there's no water. So and that is why at the time there was a move of all the stakeholders working together, supporting the Western Cape in making sure that all the efforts that are happening at the time are well communicated to the outside world. So there'll be a whole lot of other challenges. Visas is one big one that we have to deal with. Sometimes we have to deal with Abu David, who are naysayers, and they don't become ambassadors
of the
country.
brand. Yes.
So, and we always have to say, but you also have a role to play.
Do you find that South Africans, we do a bad job of scoring this own goal, and the own goal of being a negative narrative amongst ourselves and to the rest of the world?
And I really think that we can do better.
Yeah.
I always look at, the Americans. I'm always marveling. These guys, it's like they're on script. But we know that, you'll know the reality.
It's different.
Yes, but as South Africans, we have a huge role to play in the marketing of South Africa and getting people to South Africa. If you think about your friends around the world, people who follow you, they want to ask you, so David, where can I go? What do you say?
Yeah.
So you've got to also do your own knowledge, like learning about the destination, having places to recommend for people.
Yeah.
And you're not going to call me, so where can I take people in Limpopo? No, I want you
to be the one that
says, in fact,
God's window.
In fact, we ran a campaign now, coming out of COVID, we ran a campaign which was called Live Again. And it was all about South Africa gives you the opportunity to live again after COVID. Like, if I say live, I'm not talking at a literal sense. It's like, so you come out of this whole bad space and you find yourself in a refreshing destination that will refresh not only your body, but its mind and soul in terms of what the destination does. So we ran this campaign and we localized it in the different parts of the world. And when we were working in the Netherlands, some of the insights were that the Netherlands people, they want to do South Africa the way the locals do it.
Okay, meaning?
So we then created this map, which was for what we call the lekker local tips.
Okay.
And where we call South Africans to say, tell us your favorite spots. Put them on this map. Put them on their website. And then we map it across the country. Then that map is visible to the guys in Holland who are trying to get here to say, what do South Africans do in their own country when they want to enjoy their country? So it's quite fascinating because people were writing things that we didn't even know. But it's that kind of storytelling of when you go home, where do you go?
Yeah.
And they want to know, I take my bike, I like to drive up the mountain. You put that whole trip there. They now want to book it. They want to book the David trip that David does.
Yes.
So South Africans have a huge role to play in assisting us in selling the destination. One, by being positive and telling the positive stories, because the world are very positive about us.
Yeah, sometimes I tend to think the world is more positive about us than we are positive about ourselves.
But beyond that, there is this advent of great South Africans that are just emerging wherever you look. In fact, in our brand proposition, we always talk about South Africa as a destination that breaks new ground. That South Africa breaks new ground. It's like despite everything, you can wake up in South Africa, there's a black coffee who won a Grammy Award. You're like, but they don't have power. So you wake up, there's Mzansi Choir that's done amazing things just the other day.
Yeah.
You wake up, there's the Springboks that just won. So South Africans, they continue to amaze the world.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is to just take those stories and dial them up.
Are you confidently saying South Africans are amazing?
South Africans are amazing.
Yeah.
You've this weekend we woke up to the story of this Musa guy and I was in tears.
Yeah.
I'm like, but how?
We are that kind.
And I had to show my kids.
Yeah.
And I said, if you guys think you've got problems, I mean, look at this guy. This guy, you would think this guy has got, but he's not thinking I've got problems.
He's thinking this is what I should be doing with my life.
Yes, and he's just going out there, being himself and amazing the world.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of people. This morning I was listening to radio. Rich Mnisi is collaborating with Adidas.
I didn't even know that.
I'm like, oh my gosh, this country. I am amazed at the exceptional human beings that we have.
Yeah.
And I spoke about earlier the Trevor Noahs of this world that just amaze the world. I mean, I listened to some other podcasts, and then they were quoting Trevor Noah and his mom. I'm thinking, this. So we are an exceptional country. Amazing things happen in this country, and it's as if stuff is not enough. So it's not like a once-off.
No.
So Black Coffee wins a Grammy. Following year, Zex Bantuna wins a Grammy. So next day, I don't know. It's like, so we are those people.
Yeah.
And we've got to then, acknowledge that about us, that we are a great nation. And challenges will always be there.
So our greatness remains irrespective of our challenges. I recorded a video where I was talking about our resilience and I sometimes worry that we are spending our resilience on potholes and things that we shouldn't be spending resilience on.
But also, David, I think sometimes our world and maybe where we are it gets driven by social media. But in reality, life is way bigger
than and Twitter.
I mean, you go to the villages and you see like the kind of work that we do. When I spoke about the business tourism, so we've now set up this conventions bureau. We actually bid for smaller conferences that we can hold in what we are calling the villages, the townships, and the small dorpies.
Got you.
Because we want to stimulate the economy even from that angle. When you see me, because I'm on social media, you see me, I'm going to Germany, I'm going wherever we're going as South African tourism, we take with us SMMEs that we will pay for, and we will give them the opportunity to go and sell their products to the world. So that they go and tell the story, we put them in front of the world. So there's a lot of stuff going on that, because social media is social media, we will end up thinking that is the world. But I think that the story is far bigger. What we probably want to do is to get more storytellers who can just continue to tell the stories of South Africa. At South African Tourism, you might know that also we have, as part of our work, is grading establishments.
Yes, I know there's even an awards for that.
Yes,
is it still there?
The Lilizela Awards, yes. So they're coming back this year. So because of COVID, we couldn't. Yes.
True.
So the grading is all about making sure that there is quality assurance in the establishment that you end up sleeping at.
True.
So if they say they are 3-star, as government, we've given them that star based on an assessment. And it helps for a peace of mind.
That I know for sure that they are 3-star.
That you can know for sure. But you can also expect, because Because sometimes if I say I'm 3-star and there's things that must be in the 3-star that I don't have, now you can lodge a complaint.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, you can expect a 5-star service, but then you get there, I'm not offering you the slippers in the bedroom. Then you complain and say, but we never said we'll give you the slippers.
I get, so we should also know what comes with 3-star, what comes with 4-star, and so forth.
Yes.
So it's also partly our responsibility to know what you're signing up.
Which is why we continuously are doing these campaigns on grading, so that people can understand the grading, they understand the value of grading. Sometimes I get, and I remember when I was in Limpopo, I would get on Twitter, people sending me DMs. Oh, I went into a hotel, it did not have Wi-Fi. And I'm like, was it graded?
Yeah.
They're not sure.
They're not sure.
So it's like, let's challenge the products. Let's make sure that they are graded, because it is also part of the government's work to assure visitors when they come here that you are assured of the top quality of a hotel. If it says 2-star, you get
this is what you're getting. Yeah,
exactly.
Here's a video. This is me. It's the narrative. I get we must be positive about the country. Hello, South Africa, the land of my birth, the place I call home. Hello, my precious. It is unfortunate that your name reduces you to a point on a map, but you know you are much more than that. Hello, South Africa. You are sunshine. You are hope. I just called to say to you hi. How are you this morning? You are laughter. You are joy. Hello. Just hello, South Africa. The land of unknown resilience. Even in the darkest of days, we know that the sun will shine brightest. Your people will dance the hardest. Your stars will glow the longest. I just want to say to you, hello, South Africa. You are welcoming home to souls across African continent. You are the birthplace of some of the brightest stars in the sky. You are indeed the birthplace of some of the most beautiful melodies that'll echo across the galaxy until the end of time. My home, I say to you all, Mzansi, Absheni, Tobela, Molo, Huyemure, Dumela, Nda, Saubona, oh, away, my second. I just called to remind you that you're a winner. You win against all odds. You always win. Hello, South Africa. Maybe I'm not well, but I think you're very special. That's why I just called to tell you that I love you. Hello, South Africa. My home. I love you so much.
It's beautiful. And we should be seeing a lot more and hearing a lot more of these on the social media, because imagine what that would do. But I suppose the way social media has been sort of positioned, people think that's where they must go and put in bad things and whatever. But if we woke up one day and said, this is the day to be positive about South Africa, imagine what you could have.
Wow.
Like a positivity day.
Yes.
Where we recognize.
We do stuff like that.
Stuff like that. Today we're only doing positive content.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it feels that we trying to market South Africa, but the South Africans
are trying to slow it down.
Exactly.
To see Bambi's at the back.
But it's the whole thing of, if we understood holistically, your political guys and your corporates and your normal South Africans all working together, what would we have?
We could do wonders.
So I like that. It's amazing, and it won't trend.
No,
because it's positive.
Yes.
Aksum
goes
exactly, but that is the stuff that should be on the trends.
Yeah.
It won't be there because it's not what they want. They always are looking for the negative trend. So, but South African tourism, you can understand that we then have a very difficult job.
Yeah, of convincing the world to come here.
Yeah, lovely as it is, but it's not an easy when there's a lot of challenges that you'll have. In fact, what we do a lot, because we also believe that people can talk about South Africa all they want until you come here. Coming here stops all talk.
True. Yeah, you get to feel and touch it.
So in our work, we do a lot of programs where we host people to come and write. Journalists say, come and take a trip to the garden route.
Yeah.
And then the incredible stories come. And then they won't let go. Now they want to come here every year. Now they bring their families. And in Unilever, taking it back, we used to do a lot of sampling.
Of course.
You sample a product.
Yeah. There was a time when you would find it in a magazine.
Exactly. But that thing was powerful because once you taste that thing, no, I want it. I want it. You want it. So we do a lot of that because we know that even you can read about South Africa, people can tell you about South Africa. But once you meet South Africa,
yes,
it's a whole different game.
Jeez. Even the crime and everything that comes with it in terms of the negative still doesn't work against the hands-on experience.
And I will have you know, David, I have traveled the world because I've been fortunate with this job that I have. I've traveled.
Yeah.
And if I had to write for you what challenges I've had in those countries, you'll be like, no, because every country has its own
problems. True.
I've been pickpocketed in a destination that I can't speak a language.
Sure.
And I have all my cards, passport, driver's license, everything gone.
Yeah, you had to start from zero.
So every country has challenges. And we don't make an excuse of saying, oh, we're going to have problems because everyone has. But we say, but we don't like people to have challenges when they get here. But when they do have, unfortunately, we have to then find a way of making sure that they still live with a pleasant experience and they are assisted and they feel that somebody cares.
You lost your wallet, but you still got a country that cared for your well-being.
Yes. So our challenges, they are there, but the opportunity is there. We still talk about the 21 million tourists by 2030 because we believe it can be done. We just have to change our own narrative and start doing things differently. And the nice thing about marketing tourism is that it's not exclusive. You don't have to say, okay, only SA Tourism will market. You as David, you wake up and you put all of that out there. People come and visit you. You tell them, come and visit me. I'll be doing a roadshow. I'll take you to Radio 2000. All of those things.
Speak to tourism.
Corporates. We love corporates. Because corporates, you have got corporates who are in other parts of the world and they're in South Africa. So they're always bringing people here. They play a role in marketing South Africa. And they're not scripted. They don't come to us and give us a script. It's how we express our love for the country in what we do, in the spaces we do. I mean, I always feel sad about these guys who do so well in the arts and the culture. Like I spoke about Rich Mnisi. Suddenly he now has to be an ambassador.
Yes, so an unpaid ambassador of South Africa.
But he has to travel because when he said, oh, I'm rich, I'm from South Africa. And I said, where in South Africa? Then he must start thinking. And then, so what can I do in your country? Then he must get into script of you can do this and this. And so he has the responsibility to prepare himself when he's going abroad, that he knows the country.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
As you say it, I remember my small, tiny moment when I met Denzel Washington at a basketball match in the States. And he said, I said, the South Africa works. To say you're South Africa, there's a extra little thing that you get from saying I'm from South Africa, particularly during the Mandela days, when he was still alive. You say I'm from South Africa. He was ever so excited to meet a South African. And can we take a picture? Oh, yeah, Mandela boys. He called us. I was with Gareth Cliff, actually. He was so happy to take a picture because we are the Mandela boys. Yes. So there is that extra little thing that people around the world get fascinated by you are from South Africa. Yes. Wow.
We also then need to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
So when you say to somebody, I'm from South Africa, and they get fascinated, you need to then say, have you been to South Africa?
South Africa, yes.
So now you do the invitation. Because the role of bringing those numbers, it's a collective role.
Yeah.
So we now do say, okay, have you been? Where have you been? I don't know, I've been to Cape Town. Have you been to Johannesburg? Have you been to Limpopo? Have you been? Because when they hear from somebody that is now here next to them, it slaps differently.
True.
And you can be telling all your stories about, what happened to you when you went to the Kruger and you saw the sky and you saw the stars. And no, I need to go there.
I want to be here.
I want to be there. So,
and it's cheap to travel to South Africa with your dollar.
With your dollar.
Yes, bring it.
So I would say I would want to encourage everybody who's listening to this, watching us, to say, be the South African that invites the world here.
What do we misunderstand about that very statement as South Africans? And I will connect this to small business, the value chain. When I pack my bag and I'm going to Durban, who's winning? Who's benefiting? And I'm using this as an example. I'm going there for 2 days. Give me the value chain of the benefit that we seem to misunderstand.
How are you getting there?
I am traveling by plane, for example.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you are doing it by yourself, so you go online, so the airline will benefit. The airport, because there's an airline, then there's the airport.
True.
And the airport gets taxes from the money that you paid. The airline keeps some, you keep some. The airline and the airport, they benefit. So there's the airline, there's the airport. Then there is the transport sector.
Yeah.
In terms of, once I get to Durban, how am I going to move from the airport to where I'm going to be staying? Whether you're going to take a rented car, you're going to take an Uber, you're going to take whatever from a taxi, for all I care. That transportation sector now is benefiting because you're not going to go for free. Of course, then you get to the hotel, then there is the hotel sector, the hotel itself. But the hotel has layers because the hotel, there's a security guard that guards the hotel.
True.
So the security industry is also part of this. There is obviously the waiters that are going to cook so that you can eat. So the whole restaurant kind of environment is now benefiting. And because the people who work at hotels, at the restaurant at hotels, they move between hotels and other restaurants. But you might not even want to eat at the hotel. You might want to go to Florida Road.
True, yeah.
When you go to Florida Road, that sector of restaurants is now benefiting. You might then decide, no, it's too early to go home. Where's the club?
Go to Konka.
I want to go to
Kwamex. There we go.
I want to go to Kwamex.
Yeah.
Now, this is now a township tourism. They're benefiting. So, and also what we forget is before the food gets to you, it's all about agriculture.
True. Yeah. As a farmer and farm workers.
So the chain is so big.
Yeah.
Because also the hotels, for them to happen, they must be constructed. By somebody who is in the construction.
It goes on.
It goes on. You have got
arts and craft.
The arts and craft.
Yes, someone to buy something.
You get to a hotel, they have a shop there. You say, "Oh, I like that dress." So now the fashion industry or that kind of market now is also benefiting. You want to go to the beach, so tourism touches almost everything. It touches everything. When I'm here and I'm engaging the media becomes part of the chain.
True. Every part of this.
So every part of
people get jobs.
Yes.
Small businesses flourish.
Yes.
And.
Too much. Somebody was saying to me, so my friend came from Kenya, came to South Africa. So that is a travel. So he traveled to a conference.
Yeah.
But when he said no, he's going to go and buy a motorbike.
Okay. That's a big purchase.
You see, so now we did not link this to tourism. The only reason he came here was a conference.
Yes.
But he says, you guys have got nice bikes here. Let me go and buy a nice bike.
That's an unexpected buy.
He buys a bike. He buys the bike. He says he doesn't want to ship it. So he leaves it in South Africa. He goes home.
Yeah.
He comes back to ride it all the way to Kenya.
Wow. Look at that. That's a very unexpected.
That is completely unexpected
Yeah.
now. So it's like every single industry get touched.
Yeah. Let's go back to the misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Because that's where it comes from for me. Did we misunderstand the efforts of SA Tourism when they wanted to sponsor a soccer team? And I say it that way, and I realize you're reacting. Your face.
I'm smiling. I'm smiling.
Yeah. It's a positive reaction, I guess.
And what I can say is that if you take out all the drama around the whole thing,
Yeah.
right? If you take out all what happened, the side shows of it. If you look at what's going on from a marketing point of view,
True.
sports tourism is a thing. And destinations that are winning are in it.
They understand it.
They understand it, they're doing it, and they have got the support from the nations to do it. Why would a whole of the UAE, let's say, go and sponsor teams in Europe?
True.
Why would a Ronaldo go to Saudi Arabia? I mean, he can go anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And then I went now to Berlin. In the stand of Saudi Arabia, they have got Ronaldo now is the thing that they are promoting. And I'm thinking, you guys. Then they tell me, we're just waiting. Messi also might come. I'm thinking,
yeah.
So of course they've got the big bucks.
Yeah.
But I'm not talking about the big bucks. I'm talking about the concept
of a big brand player
yes,
that is used as a brand ambassador.
So whether it's a team or it's an individual, but linked to sport and linked to a destination.
Yeah.
So I'm saying all things equal, such a concept is a concept that exists, has been done, even by our neighbors here in Rwanda.
Yeah.
And I follow because I'm an Arsenal supporter.
Wow, Askis.
I know.
You can't lead the league for that long. And then lose.
But yeah, it happens.
I'm a former Arsenal supporter.
Are you a former?
I had to leave. I couldn't.
Disloyal.
I mean, no. I'm loyal to my heart. My heart can feel pain for too long.
So I mustn't tell you that I also support Kaizer Chiefs, but so my pain, I'm always in pain.
Yeah, you have problems, I'm surprised. I'm surprised you're still normal.
No, but also
yes.
I love brands. I follow brands.
Yeah.
I'm a brand loyal person.
True.
So it's gonna take me a long time to move away from those teams. So what I'm saying is that as a marketing concept, it is something that is not bad, right? We may argue about the how,
the cost.
We can argue, we can have those conversations.
Yeah.
But when you have seen sports and you talk about tennis and Melbourne, the city of Melbourne has invested in the tennis, for example. So when the sport and the destination and the personalities, it's come together. A lot of people have done it and have done it beautifully.
Yeah.
And I say, so the question becomes the how.
Yes.
And the other question becomes timing.
Yes.
So, for example, I wrote something about the Soccer World Cup. Because if we are going to be true, if we just sort of say, let's just flashback in terms of how we as a nation, we got in it. Like in it.
We branded our side mirrors
Ngiti.
with flags.
Do you remember?
Yes.
But maybe it's the how.
Yeah.
So, but I think I always try to find a positive in every negative situation. And I always say that perhaps it's actually put SA tourism on a spotlight in such a way that when you come out of this sausage machine, people might understand what this entity does, or what it's supposed to do, because it has a big role to play, and the role is to contribute to the economy.
That's
and
true.
The questions should be asked: if I sponsor this class, how is it going to meet the tourism
opportunity? Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And I must demonstrate to you what everybody's calling the return on the investment. So if I invest here, what is going to be the return for the destination? But without a doubt, I mean, that English Premier League has been put in our faces through everybody throwing
That's true.
I mean, it's just there.
You have the people who like it more than they like our local league.
You're telling me I've got boys.
Yes.
Yesterday, Peter Drury was trending. So I had to ask, why is it trending? And they're watching. And they said, no, mommy, we can't sleep. I'm like, no, midnight. I'm not sleeping. They're watching this thing. And so I'm just saying that we have to, at everything that we are doing, we try to ask questions of, is there value for the destination? Is it going to contribute to the economy? Are we going to get the arrivals, the spend, the geographic spread, which is what we ask? Are we going to get opportunities of transformation being answered by this particular property? Is there an opportunity that this can help us to solve seasonality issues? Because those are the issues that when we marketing, also have to solve those problems. Right now in the Western Cape, or in Cape Town in particular, it's starting to it's winter, it's raining. So those hotels won't be as full.
KZN is different.
Exactly, KZN is different.
Yeah.
But how do you help the Cape guys to continue being full during a difficult season? So seasonality issue is becomes an issue when you are having that that property that you are looking at. So all these things, 6 goals of tourism, you're looking at them, and we must then look at how are the jobs going to be created? What parts of this is going to create the jobs, right? And that's why I'm saying, had this happened at a different time, differently, is there any hotel that doesn't want to have a soccer team coming into the...
Definitely not. Everyone wants to.
So the concept, you can have a view about the concept. Then we can have another view about how things happened, or how things were brought to the fore, or how the people around were engaged. So in terms of the processes. But like I say, it then makes everybody now start to understand, or start to ask the question, what is the role of SA tourism?
That is the question that was asked.
And we have a conversation like this where we can be able to unpack for you that our work is deep. If we are not supporting that team that was being proposed, are we going to be able to support a Banyana that's doing well? I'm just asking a question. Do you expect us to? Would you like us to? How would it feel for you as a South African if you saw your emblem on another team, not that?
Yes.
So it's being realistic in how we comment about it, on how we evaluate it, but I still feel that different time, different day, different process, it's not a bad concept.
Do you feel though, because when you've been slapped on the wrist a little bit, you tend to say, I'm not going to try this. Do you feel that the backlash may have in some small way held the hands of SA tourism?
I think that will happen even not at my level. Because remember, such concepts, or concepts in general, will normally come through within the business. Somebody has met somebody and then they would like to bring in a concept, right? Or they're talking to the marketing team somewhere. They say, "Oh, did you know that we're having this and this competition, and we would like you guys to be on board. So now the question is, are those guys feeling that they should bring those to the executive, right?
It may not get to you.
It may not get to me because the guy says, no, I don't want to be in the news.
Okay.
So I think you might have a situation where it will take people time to feel the freedom to be able to say, South Africa, it's possible. We can do all things that we imagine.
True.
So you might get to that point, but equally, because remember, there's this side that will have the idea in the organization, or there's this side from the leaders that we're working with, who might want to say, I don't want to deal with these things.
I don't want to deal with a flag. You remember that?
Yes,
yeah.
Because concepts, depending on the amounts, they will go all the way to the top leadership.
True.
And when it's, David Mashabala roadshow, it's 10 rands, it might not reach that point.
Yeah.
So equally, so from this side, what is the appetite versus the other side?
That's true. Yeah.
So you might be in that situation. It might ask us for brave leadership. It might ask us to be bold and continue to take chances. But again, I still say it's probably the how. So you probably can get another big idea if your how is slightly different.
Yeah, it's every time your office was dealing with this, I remember thinking, conceptually, there's nothing wrong, but practically, and the most common comment was, you're not reading the room. The country's broke, but a budget is budget. If it's not used for that, it's still a marketing budget. It's likely to be used for something else.
And that is why I'm saying perhaps we might come out of all of this having a better understanding
of the role
of the roles
of tourism.
Yes, because even if I'm not doing this concept, how can I solve the power issue?
True.
Do you see? So there's things that then you can't do because you're not mandated to do.
Because you can't then redirect.
I would like to fix a visa problem.
Yeah.
But I can't take this money and go to visa office and say, now I think
here's money, hire more people.
So I'm just saying that it becomes a strategic conversation that probably should be happening somewhere at a country level. I asked the question that as a country, for where we are, not as a tourism, as a country, what is our appetite for big things? After the World Cup of soccer, what's the next big thing that we're going to rally, like as a nation, rally behind? The way that we did the
World Cup.
The World Cup. I mean, remember the World Cup. I remember the day before the World Cup in Sandton. It was incredible. You were jumping and screaming with people you don't know.
Sandton, Mandela Square. There was a thing there.
Yes,
I think I was there as well. There was just a euphoria.
So, yes, there was such a euphoria. So if we ask ourselves those questions.
Yeah.
So since that euphoria that we had with the Soccer World Cup, what is the next? Are we going to bid for the Olympics? What is the thing we're going to say, as a nation, not as South African tourism? Because the Soccer World Cup wasn't about SA tourism.
Yeah.
It was a sports department bid.
What do you say then with that very question to someone that says back to you, we have bigger problems. We have other problems. It's almost someone saying, I wena ufuna ukudlala thina busy nge-electricity, busy nge-ibhedlela, busy with schools. What do you say to that as someone who sits in your position?
And that is why I say to you, it's probably a convo not to be had somewhere else.
Yes.
Strategically by other heads. The fathers of the nation and the mothers of the nation. Because they must answer that question. Because the question that you're going to ask again. So we're having so many problems. So do I stop?
Do you stop working?
Coming to work?
Yes.
Do you know? I mean, the way we've had challenges with load shedding, not from a tourism point of view, just as individuals, trying to run your life. you haven't stopped. Kids are
Yeah.
going to school.
True.
My kids are going to school and they will pass because they must finish matric. It's important. So things don't stop because there's a problem.
Yeah. And
Do they?
that's the answer to that question.
Things don't stop because of the problem. And that's why I say you may review the how. You know, we may be having a conversation about how do we then do this in a context like this. The UK, they just had a coronation for the king with the problems that they have.
With new prime ministers every second week.
So I'm saying, you know, and that's why I'm saying it's not a question to me because I can't answer that question. I can only do the job that I have.
Yeah.
And in marketing, you can either do big things or small things.
We have to do something.
If I need to do small things, I'll do the small things then.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to do big things. So, but if there's no appetite for the big things because 1, 2, 3, then there's no appetite. So, but if we look at other nations, because we always look at other nations for inspiration, who has stopped because
of their problems?
Do
we find in your observation of other nations, there are those that they continue to have appetite for big things, irrespective of what challenges they have?
Look, from the little that I can think of, I've seen people just moving ahead and sort of doing things. The bids are going ahead. People are bidding. You know, we hosted COP17, remember, here.
Yes.
Now I think we are on COP number 27 and different
it's been
countries
so many years later
are hosting it, including France with all its problems.
Yeah.
So I from where I'm sitting, and I might not be well informed, I see people going ahead doing their things.
Yeah.
But now it's nice because now it's post-COVID. We're now going to see if big things are going to be coming back.
Yeah.
I don't remember what we did with the Olympics last time.
Did we bid? I'm not sure even.
No, not us. Yes. I'm saying who hosted the.
Oh yes, I'm not. We can check, Tato. Let's check quickly who hosted the last Olympics. Yes.
So, I mean, we had COVID, and people wanted to even go ahead with those things.
Oh yes. What was it? I think it was. Now that it's kind of starting to come back, because I remember when there were cancellations of big events. Beginning of the year of 2020.
Yes.
I forgot now which country.
So.
China.
So I'm just saying that. What it will be interesting to watch in the next sort of couple of years. What happens to these big events that used to bring the world together?
Yeah.
All I can tell you that Formula 1 is still going on.
Yeah.
There was Monaco the other day.
Had to cancel a race because of rain, of weather more than anything.
But the intention was we are driving our cars there.
Yeah.
So if we just scan the land, the environment, people have continued despite their challenges, and they continue. But I do not know what is the conversation at the very high level.
True.
So that's why I'm saying that I'm very conscious not to, because I don't have the answer. The answer is of a country, not of an entity.
True.
And I think the voice will have to come at a country level that says, we believe in the big things. I mean, I don't know the Department of Sports. What are they pitching for right now? Are they pitching again for the World Cup? I can't remember. I don't know.
What's ringing in my head is, because you're making a lot of sports questions and sports references rather. What is the biggest draw card? Sports clearly is tops. It has the biggest event in the world. It's the World Cup. What are some of the big draw cards? I've been having conversations with people about international artists to South Africa and vice versa. What are some of the big draw cards?
Look, sports definitely takes a cup, without a doubt. But music shows, they definitely are still big. It's the question is, what is the role of technology and AI in all of these things? And are people going to still be wanting to go to these events, or they want to be watching it on their
in the devices and interact differently?
So music is definitely big. On the conferencing side, people are meeting. The world is still gathering. That's why I quoted the COP
17
and the COP 27 that happened the other day. People are still gathering to do meetings and talk about big things happening around the world.
Yeah.
You have got people who also are meeting for other sort of niche areas, like art. Then you have got the medical fraternity. They're still meeting. There's a lot of medical meetings around the world.
Wow.
You remember the days we hosted AIDS 2000? That was massive in Durban.
Wow.
I would love for us to host another one of those.
Yeah.
So it would be good for us through our conventions bureau to be watching what's going on in the trend of large-scale events. But the question that we have is that we are currently sitting with huge infrastructure when it comes to either sports, the
stadiums we built,
or conferencing. I mean, if you look at the facility in Cape Town, in Durban, you need to keep those warm, you need to keep those filled. So you have the infrastructure, you need to utilize the infrastructure.
Yeah.
So, and if you look at our local soccer, unfortunately.
Okay, let me hear. I'm a fan of local soccer,
but you're not going to the stadium. Can you start going to the stadium?
Yeah, well, okay. I go, not always, because when I go, my team loses, so I avoid going.
But sometimes I watch on TV, sadly, a whole big game of a big team, like a big team like Kaizer Chiefs. Nobody is at the stadium.
Yeah.
And this never used to happen before. These teams you would stop everything.
I agree with you 100%. And as a soccer fan, I would also say soccer appeals to a wide range of audiences, from the poorest of the poorest to the richest of the richest. And diehard fans will find it challenging to afford the cost of going. And that's why you've seen Sundowns, for example, saying, come to the game for free if you're wearing a yellow jersey, for example. And I'm not saying every team should do that, but I'm saying there's an incentive of sorts. But the cost of it tends to be a challenge for South Africans. And that's where some of the problems lie. It's affordability in some instances. But you're saying you should be driving interest.
I get very stressed when I see how there is such a following of the EPL. Like, people follow this thing across South Africans, like everybody.
True. Yes, that's a fact.
If you said tomorrow Arsenal is coming here,
the stadium will be full.
Do you know what I mean? Like, nobody's going to ask me how much. Nobody's going to tell me it's expensive. You're going to see them with the jerseys that are so expensive.
Yeah, I hear you.
If I say Real is coming here, even my kids will push me out of the house and say, give us your card, we're going to the stadium.
Yeah.
So we have other problems.
Yeah.
But the question that you put forward for us is, so in the times when we're having challenges, do we stop? And I'm saying that question, let it be answered somewhere.
Yeah.
Because if it was for me, I would not want to stop. Because we need a turning point. We need something that's going to turn the fortunes of South Africa. And you don't know what is that next big thing that is going to take us to the Holy Land. So problems are going to be there. How we going to continue to do the marketing?
Yeah.
The question is going to be, will I big idea or not?
Yeah.
And it's all about the appetite
for South Africans to hear it.
South Africans, if they say that's going to take that money, go and fix potholes. And then I'm saying, but is that the mandate that you are now giving me?
As a tourism.
As a tourism.
Yeah.
Is that the mandate? Because right now I'm reading from an act. Remember, these things are legislated. That's why I'm saying sometimes, you'll have a wrong conversation.
Yeah.
Because people don't understand. But when they do, we derive our mandate from the Tourism Act.
And it has no pothole in it.
So for as long as the act is saying the things that it is saying, I must deliver to the act, because I will be found wanting if I'm not doing the marketing that is in the act.
That's why when I asked this question, I said, do you find South Africans misunderstand the space? Because my feeling at the time, and the how, you kept on saying the how, my feeling at the time was, we don't quite get it.
But David, I don't think it's even that. I think it is South Africans are frustrated.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you have a frustration, you may then behave in a particular way because you want to take out the frustration somewhere where it doesn't belong.
Yeah.
How do we take out the frustration from South Africans?
Yeah.
Because equally, you can't tell me that in 2010 we didn't have potholes, but I don't recall the conversation about potholes. Do you recall?
No. We had
have
other conversations.
But did we? Let's not do the World Cup because we.
Yeah. No, we had other problems. But yes, you're 100% right.
So, but I'm trying to think back. Did I remember? Did we stop?
Did we? Yes. Did we spend so much time trying to decode how much it is? Maybe we did.
Maybe
we were still caught up in the excitement.
And that's why I'm saying maybe it's the how.
Yes.
Because the problems were there.
True.
But maybe the way people got introduced to the concept was slightly
very different. Yeah.
Caused by Mandela. Who's gonna challenge Mandela?
Hey, who can fight the charisma your tata? You can't.
Yes. So, but yeah, David, tourism is the next big thing in itself that is going to solve the country's problems.
Do we all get that?
I would like for all of us to get it.
Yeah.
I would love to. Sometimes it is possible that we don't get it. If we just got more people flooding our hotels and our tourism attractions that are coming from abroad, that are traveling from within South Africa, that every weekend is a short lift. It will start to change things for South Africans, because it's hard when people are not working.
True.
It's hard when people don't know when the next meal is going to come from. It's hard when real things that are close to people's hearts are not sorted.
Can tourism create sustainability within the economy as well? Is it seen as one of the pillars that can keep this country going?
Certainly, if you look at how the world has looked at tourism, from a world point of view, tourism is big. It is a big role player in economies. South Africa, for a very long time, has toyed with the idea that said tourism is very critical in our economy.
True.
At some point, we used to say tourism is a new gold, because at some point it surpassed gold in terms of growth. And we think it can get to that level again. And what is now coming through at where we are right now, I mean, even if you listen to the new minister, she's very clear that this is a very important portfolio. And we've got to make sure that it can recover fully.
Yeah.
And you remember, why we are battling like this in tourism is because tourism was hardest hit.
That's true.
When you close the borders, what are you thinking?
When you close people at home.
Even the alcohol.
Oh, hell.
Which is a very big part of the
of
value
the tourism,
chain.
yes.
Of the value chain as
Yeah.
well. So it was hard hit. It was the first to close. Gatherings were closed.
And last to open.
Last to open. We were thrown in as gatherings. People could not go to meetings. Up to a point where even government would say people must not travel for meetings, and a lot of the city hotels, they depend on government travel.
True.
So we, for a long time, and now we're still suffering because in all of this, there's still virtual working.
It's still, you're competing with virtual working now.
So people are like, well, no, let's have a Zoom meeting. And we are saying we're trying to get people from the Zoom to the room. Because the room is where money is going to be made.
That's
if
true.
they're in the room, everybody benefits.
Yeah.
But on the Zoom, tourism gets nothing.
What is your wish for not only yourself, because part of this conversation is not only to talk about SA tourism, but also talk about yourself. What is your wish? I'll tell you what I wish for. Having known you for a bit, your passion is clear. Your hard work is clear. At some point, many, many years ago, I got a call from you at 1 a.m. and you wanted us to print something.
Am I notorious for that? These are the things.
And it was,
as I retire from tourism.
I remember this so clear. It's 1 a.m. I look at this number and say, oh, wow. Do I answer? I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to be disrespectful.
This client is calling.
I answered. And it's like, David, it's like you went straight into the conversation. Not even, sorry to wake you up.
No, like table manners.
Nothing. And I remember this so well. And it's easy for me to be irritated by it.
Yeah.
But because I run a small business, I understood it. I understood it as a small business person because I looked for solutions.
Yes.
I couldn't get them because it was in the middle of the night. But I also understood it as a person in your position who needed to solve a problem.
Yes.
And that's why I say, I know your passion. I know your hard work. It may not be taken well by other people, by juniors. And that's why I ask you, what is your wish for you? And what is your wish for SA tourism?
Okay, let's start by, I apologize. I called you 10 years ago.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I'm not holding a grudge.
No. But because I even always said to people, whenever I leave a job, I always say to people, for as long as you understand that if we fought, it was never about the person.
Mm-hmm.
I only fought with you because I wanted the work done.
Yeah.
So I do not want to, I'm leaving a job now, we are enemies.
True.
Yeah.
So
I even say to my guys, yesterday I was calling them at midnight. I was like, guys, I'm not going to call you at night. If I do, it's not about how was lunch. It's not about it. So if I do have to call you at 1, you know that Rome is burning.
Because you'd rather be sleeping.
Because I'd rather be sleeping as well.
Yes.
So I'm glad you said that. In fact, today I woke up and I sent a message to one of my colleagues and said, thank you for coming through last night because we needed something and she came through and the thing was done and we were managing to meet a deadline.
Yeah.
So yes, passion. As a professional. I'm a person who's very hardworking.
Yeah.
In fact, people say, Pastor, you've turned 50 and you haven't slowed down.
Jeez.
And I think I became worse now. Now I even run. So I wake up at 4 in the morning.
Jeez.
And I start working at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I must tell you a story of how somebody actually laid a grievance and said, so when they asked, okay, what is a grievance about? No, she was calling me after 6 o'clock. and it's like, okay, end of the case. So how is that a grievance?
A grievance.
So passion is there. I always want to work. I always want to learn. I always want to solve problems.
Yeah.
And I thrive when I see people I've worked with do well.
Yeah.
I look back now, I see a lot of people that pass through my hands and they're successful and they're doing well and they're like massive positions in the corporate world.
Yeah.
That gives me, the pleasure of, what, it was all worth it, and I always want to say, even if I depart, I should feel like, what, I made my mark, I worked, I upset 2 people, but
it was about work.
It was about work, and we achieved.
Yeah.
So my wish is that as a destination, not South African tourism, as a destination, we could pause and internalize how amazing we are. We are so amazing. It can bring tears, in your eyes because we are such a great destination, but we beat ourselves up so badly that we can't see the good in us.
Yeah.
Because like I said to you earlier, if we saw this greatness that you speak about of us as a nation, as South Africans, I don't have to do a TV advert.
No.
South Africans can bring me 21 million visitors by 2030. With no advert. I don't need to call your radio.
No.
South Africans alone, they can deliver that. Now, we get sidetracked. We get confused. But as South Africans, the tourism job is easy. Because if all of us would talk the same language, do the same thing, and just invite one person you know from every of the markets from around the world, we're done.
That's so true.
In fact, we could calculate that the 21 million, how many people do you need? So how many should you bring? We could do this thing and calculate my quota that I must bring.
Yeah. So the job is not that complicated.
So the job is not that complicated. Yeah. All I need is South Africans behind me and South Africans behind me so that they can help me to do the job that I need to do to create jobs.
True.
To contribute to the economy, to bring in more foreign direct investment into the country.
And you're not asking South Africans to be behind you to do your work. You're asking them to just be positive about our country.
You see, so I'm saying we can close all our adverts, save all that money, and say, South Africans, each one bring one.
That's it.
Who did you bring here? So what qualifies you to criticize tourism? How many people did you bring? Just by being positive and saying, did you know that there's a mountain next to my house and it's 1, 2, and 3 and it does all these things?
Yeah, we can go on a hike.
And because the people that we know that are not in South Africa, if you call them, they will come.
Yeah.
They don't need an advert because the story of tourism is not about advert. The story of tourism is about a lived experience. It's about me telling you. The next destination I want to visit is because I have had people that are in my close network.
Yeah.
Not the pictures I saw on a travel magazine.
Not on Instagram.
Not on Instagram. Yes. I want to hear, what did my mate say they did when they I still tell people about what I did when I went to Cuba. And they're like, oh, no, we have to go there. we have to go there. So I want to have that thing of South Africans telling people stories that bring people goosebumps and make them want to come here.
Wow. You deliberately didn't answer a wish for yourself.
For myself?
Yes. You are in an acting position. If I was answering that question for you, if I was answering that question for you, I'd say I wish to be a CEO. But you can answer it the way you want.
No.
Okay.
I say to people, I didn't apply for a position of being a CEO. At any given point of SA Tourism, whenever they've been there, they've advertised many a times.
Yeah.
I've never.
Including Limpopo.
I'm saying even when I was in Limpopo.
Okay.
I'm saying, but in SA Tourism.
Oh, yes.
Because how I've understood SA Tourism, that I wanted to be... There's a song that says, wind behind the wings. Yes, I wanted to do that, to propel. You understand? To those who are in the front. So I never really looked at in my second coming that I want to do that. That's why I was like, if the COO position is available, let me work on that, because the COO position is almost like the engine.
True. Absolutely.
I said, no, let me be in the engine. Let me be in the space. Let me help to shape what then those who are in the forefront can do and talk about.
Yeah.
So my wish is that I can be able to work towards my retirement.
Wow.
And the retirement that says to me and says to those around me that I have made a contribution in this sector. I have given my all in this sector.
Yeah.
And now I can sit and watch the sector thrive without me. You see?
Yeah.
So I do not. I've got a 5-year contract with SA Tourism. I do not. I would wish to complete it, and then be able to take a back seat, you know, and watch the fruits of my work.
Yeah.
You know, and it's unfortunate, and nowadays in government, it's unlike corporates where your legacy gets protected. You know, in a government space, sometimes doesn't.
Yeah.
But I wish South African tourism can reclaim its glory. Those who have worked with South African tourism in a few years and many, many years, they know that those guys can work. Those are workers.
Yeah.
And those are workers who love South Africa. And we always say jokingly, tourism never sleeps.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't. When I'm saying I'm calling guys last night at midnight, because I'm watching what time is it in New York. Remember I said we've got 9 offices.
It was 6 in the evening.
So I have to check where Tokyo Kinakoma.
Yes.
So we do it with passion. We don't get paid for the extra work that we did in the midnight.
Yeah.
Talking to the team in another market, helping them to solve their own problem before we go to sleep. So I've done my bit. I've contributed. I've given myself into tourism. Sometimes it has not been great, because when you do so well in tourism or in your professional career, something else suffers.
That's true.
And I always say, when people say, "Oh, you've done well in tourism," I've done well, but maybe I haven't done well at home with my kids.
That's it. Yeah.
Because they've missed me. They have not seen me all the time. I have had to be absent in order to be great here. So if I'm great here, somewhere I'm not great.
Yeah. Someone loses.
So someone loses.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's people that I love the most. Like now we're saying,
we need to arrange.
Yeah. So let tourism thrive. Let South Africans participate actively, so play their role. But may SA Tourism reclaim its glory.
Yeah.
Because it was once a very glorious organization. Those who have worked there, they'll tell you.
True.
The reason I wanted to go back to SAT is because I've worked there before.
You remember that time.
And when there was this euphoria of the World Cup, and I was in the team that was, building towards that. And I know how great we can be.
Yeah.
For me, if I can sort of fold my hands, retire, and watch this movie happen in front of me, I'll be the greatest.
Yeah.
Because I would feel that I did my bit.
In Durban, quickly as we close, were you involved in was it Durban Mafunuk Jive? Is it that time?
Yes.
It was that time.
Yes. In fact, when I was in Durban, the Durban payoff line was Durban is South Africa's playground.
Yes, that's the
And the whole thing was we would come and do marketing in Joburg.
In Joburg.
So we inviting them to go and play
in Durban.
And then it worked. It worked like a charm.
I remember.
So we need to just get back to our heydays, because there's a lot that the tourism sector can do for the country.
There's a lot of opportunity as well.
Too much.
So a young person who's watching this, who wants to play in that space in whatever form, you as the CEO of SA Tourism, you can safely say, try it.
Yes, I can say try it. In fact, the one thing that sometimes breaks my heart about tourism is that I'm an accidental tourism marketeer, right? But there are guys who only started tourism as a last option. And we need to move tourism from the last option to making it the option.
Wow.
So you choose to be in tourism because you understand the role it plays in the economy.
You say as a career, even as a
yes. So you don't say, but so you're gonna lapha tourism management, because you understand. So we want to make sure that we can even reposition tourism from that point of view.
Yeah.
And show the opportunities it has. And one of the things that I've been very passionate about was, what can we do with the people who shoot videos and films, yet they don't see themselves as in tourism, but they are.
Yeah.
That whole sector of videographers, and I don't know what you call them.
Yes.
That whole sector, they can be very much part of us. So you can be choosing tourism, but from the videography point of view.
Yeah.
So that it's not people only coming from overseas to come and take videos and pictures of our animals at the Kruger National Park. Because you're actively playing in the space and you understand that your images, they play a role to tell a story.
There's a boy who traveled from Joburg to Cape Town with an Uber. I thought it was an impressive video. And I think it's the same guy who said he wants to touch all 9 provinces in 24 hours. And he pulled it off. So, yeah, well, it was very creative driving, but it worked. So I guess in a lot of ways, those tiny little videos, they do a role in selling South Africa in whatever form.
No, they do.
Because they make somebody excited about the country.
Yeah.
I wish you well, ma'am. I think where you're going is far.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I've been looking forward to this chat. For the first time, I prepared questions. Actually, it's not the first time, but I don't normally do. So I wish you well.
Thank you so much, David. And thanks for the opportunity. And please play your part. Help us to sell South Africa. I'm always saying to people, phone me, give me ideas. If you have an idea, let me know. In fact, people are always amazed at how, they will come to my DMs
and say, I have this.
And I will respond.
Really?
And I will respond. You come at my DMs for work, I will respond.
Wow.
I will even meet you if you want to meet.
Yes.
So, because I always say, I want to listen. Because even though I've spent almost 25 years in tourism, I cannot necessarily say I know it all.
No.
You may come up with your idea. Like if we shut the day, we want to be positive.
Let's be positive, South Africa.
Yeah? And you will be amazed if we decided that we know what. So ideas are going to come from people listening, people watching.
Yeah.
And they must come, they must tell, they must say how they would want. So you don't want the soccer team, what do you want?
Wow, an exciting one. I wish you well. Your passion makes me want to be in tourism.
But you are in tourism. You are on the other side, telling the story, helping us tell the story.
That is so true.
Which is also great. So thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
It's ended with a fist bump. There you go, everybody. It's Nomasonto Ndlovu. It's acting CEO of tourism. I certainly hope you get appointed officially, so you're the CEO of tourism very soon. Look at you. That's where it ends.
This is how, after I said, no, I'm not there. I'm not getting into that ring. Anyway.
Well, let's say you're disappointed and you work and you carry on with your life.
And the thing is, because I've done it, they know I can do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because you don't know whether you should move le couch uyibeke.
You know?
Ngoba umuntu wakhona uzothi angiyithandi lapho le couch.
King David Studio Podcast.